Chapter 667. Damn it, why is there a fire spirit lion king here? Fei Ren's expression turned ugly. If it were an ordinary heaven-rank fire spirit lion, he would not be afraid at all. However, the fire spirit lion king was the leader of the fire spirit lions and was an authentic king-ranked demonic beast with a pure bloodline and powerful magic power. Even if the fire spirit lion king's magic power was not very strong and was only at the low king rank, it was still comparable to a level 3 mystique venerable realm martial artist. It was not easy to deal with. The three of them were surrounded by a group of fire spirit lions and a fire spirit lion king, whose magic power had reached the low king rank. They were in a dangerous situation. You two, follow me closely. There's something wrong with the movements of these bastards. Fei Ren turned his head and looked at the He family's brother and sister behind him. He said in an unquestionable tone, "There might be a bloody battle coming up." Originally, the group of fire spirit lions was migrating together and did not intend to attack the three of them. However, after the fire spirit lion king appeared, the group of beasts suddenly changed their target and targeted Fei Ren and the others. Lily's eyes were filled with panic as she nodded her head hurriedly. She looked like a helpless little bunny. As for He Hanqing, he quietly clenched his fists as the Yuan power in his dantian gathered in his palms. His entire body tensed up as if he was a bow that was ready to shoot. It was as if he was already prepared for battle. Roar! A piercingly cold and shocking beast roar came faintly. In the next moment, a huge fiery red beast shadow swept across the sky, stirring up a gust of wind and filling the air with dust. A huge fire spirit lion with a head as large as an ancient temple bell landed in front of the three of them. The fire spirit lion's eyes were as red as blood, and its body was covered in fiery red fur. Its long iron tail hung on the ground and stirred up a circle of dust. It was the fire spirit lion king that Fei Ren was quite wary of. Roar! 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 Seeing the leader of their tribe appear, the surrounding countless fire spirit lions also roared in unison, as if they were welcoming a certain victorious general. For a moment, the scene looked rather shocking. In the face of this situation, Fei Ren and the others on the treetops did not act rashly. They continued to quietly observe the situation. "Humans, why are you here?" The fire spirit lion king glanced at Fei Ren and the others on the treetops. Then, it opened its bloody mouth and said coldly, "As a powerful king stage magical beast, although it was still unable to take human form, it wasn't difficult for it to speak human language. Unlike ordinary human warriors, demonic beasts could only evolve and improve their demonic energy and bloodline if they wanted to become stronger. When ordinary magical beasts stepped into the heaven rank, their bloodline would undergo a transformation, showing signs of atavism. They would have a chance to comprehend new powerful abilities. If they broke through to the king rank and transformed into a demon king, they would comprehend the ability to speak human language. Although king stage magical beasts were very powerful and were known as demon kings, there were even more powerful saint stage magical beasts. There were even legends that said that there were supreme demon emperors who had stepped into the emperor stage. Not only could such beings speak human language, but they could also take human form. They were no different from ordinary human warriors. Moreover, due to their demonic beast body and bloodline, their overall strength was even more powerful. No reason, we're just passing by. In the face of the fire spirit lion king's probing, Fei Ren also cupped his hands and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "The three of us have no grudges with the nobles. May I know why you sent these fire spirit lions to block our way?" I hate hypocritical humans like you." The fire spirit lion king exhaled heavily, causing sparks to ignite. Even the temperature of the surrounding air rose slightly. Back when I had yet to break through to become a king-rank magical beast, I saw with my own eyes a few human mystique venerables massacring my people. In the end, they even used their bones and skin to refine some so-called spirit treasure pills. Humans are a bunch of damned bastards, especially you martial artists. Hearing this, The He brother and sister were both stunned. Because their tribe had been massacred by human warriors, the fire spirit Lion King before them seemed to have a strong hatred for humans. Faerun also frowned and said, "Lion King, everything in the world follows karma. Everything has good and evil. Whether it's humans killing demonic beasts or demonic beasts hunting humans, it's all for the sake of survival. This is the law of nature. Moreover, there are good and bad human warriors, just like you demonic beasts. Even if you're seeking revenge, you shouldn't be looking for us. Instead, you should be looking for the people who massacred your fire spirit lion tribe." At first, Faerun thought that the fire spirit Lion King before them had some kind of conspiracy. However, it turned out that he was overthinking. The fire spirit Lion King simply did not like the humans and attacked them indiscriminately for revenge. Faerun and the He family siblings were more unlucky. They had accidentally bumped into the muzzle of the gun. Cut the crap. All humans deserve to die. Since you've met me today, the few of you shall leave your lives behind. The fire spirit Lion King before them was obviously blinded by hatred and prejudice. It did not agree with Faerun's explanation and let out another deafening roar. "My sons, charge! Tear these humans apart!" Roar. In the next moment, a large number of fire spirit lions seemed to have received some kind of blood boost. Immediately, their emotions were aroused, and they all charged towards Faerun and the rest who were on the treetops not far away. In an instant, the roars of the beasts shook the earth. "Go! Kill our way out!" Seeing this, Faerun knew that there was no way out. He immediately leaped into the sky and chose to ignore the fire spirit lions that were flying towards them. He flew towards the heart of the magic Beast Mountain range without worry. "Sister, let's go." Seeing this, He Hanqing also stood in the sky and followed closely behind with Lily. "Still on a run." Boom! Seeing that Faerun and the rest were planning to escape, the fire spirit Lion King laughed coldly and opened its bloody mouth. In an instant, it spat out a huge, blazing fireball that was filled with an extraordinary amount of magic power. The fireball burned fiercely and soared into the sky. Its terrifying temperature seemed to be able to evaporate the surrounding air. Its power was astonishing. Overlord Fist. Facing the huge fireball that was coming from behind, Faerun also waved his right arm. Lines of Overlord demonic inscriptions appeared on it, and at the same time, he threw out a punch. Rumble. In an instant, flames and yuanli shot out in all directions and exploded with an earth-shattering sound. The aftershock spread in all directions. Roar. Swoosh. 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 On the ground, a small portion of the fire spirit lions that were unable to dodge in time were injured by the aftershock of the collision. They let out miserable cries, while the majority of the fire spirit lions flew into the sky, avoiding the aftershock of the collision between Faerun and the fire spirit Lion King. After all, an adult fire spirit lion was a heaven-rank magical beast and was comparable to a martial king. Flying was also one of their basic abilities. Although the fire spirit Lion King's attack did not hurt Faerun, the He family's brother and sister were in trouble. Boom! The aftershock of the fireball hit He Hanqing's left arm and instantly left a charred black area. It emitted a pungent smell of blood and burnt flesh. At the same time, it revealed the eerie white bones and meridians. It was terrifying. Originally, with He Hanqing's cultivation base and strength, he could have avoided the aftershock of the fire spirit Lion King's attack. However, He Lily, who was beside him, would be in danger. After all, her yuanli cultivation base was too weak. Hence, in order to protect He Lily, he did not choose to avoid the attack. Instead, he blocked the attack of the fire spirit Lion King for her. Brother. He Lily's expression changed drastically when she saw this, and she cried out in alarm. Brother, are you okay? Are your injuries serious? Oh, it's all my fault. He Lily's pretty face was filled with worry and self-blame. A tear rolled down from the corner of her eye. I'm fine. Sister, don't worry. Enduring the heart-wrenching pain in his left arm, He Hanqing's face gradually turned pale as he comforted her in a low voice. Then he turned his head and looked at Fei Run, Brother Fei. According to the painting left behind by the He family's ancestor, the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect are located under the Emperor's Pit, which is more than 10,000 meters underground in the heart of the magical Beast Mountain range. His finger drew another line on the painting, and the aura on He Hanqing's body became weaker and weaker. He gritted his teeth and said, "In the heart of the magical Beast Mountain range, there is an ancient tree. Under the tree, there is a 1,000-year-old stone that leads straight to the ground. That is the entrance to the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. Brother Fei, I'll leave my sister to you. You must protect her." At this point, He Hanqing was also gasping for breath. The corner of his mouth could not stop coughing out blood, as if he was about to die. Chapter 668. Brother. Seeing this scene, Lily was so anxious that she cried out and hurriedly hugged him. TSK. Cut the crap. Fei Ren frowned and turned to look at the fire spirit Lion King and the horde of beasts that were chasing after them. He said seriously, "As long as I'm here, you won't die." Buzz. A black and white yin-yang symbol appeared on his palm. Fei Ren's face was determined. He raised his hand and pressed it on He Hanqing's charred left arm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Strands of Tao art power seeped into He Hanqing's left arm and emitted a boundless vitality. It was the yin-yang Tao art. However, even the yin-yang Tao art that contained a strong vitality and could reverse yin and yang could not completely heal the other party's serious injuries. It was enough to show the powerful strength of the fire spirit Lion King. Even a casual attack was enough to destroy the world. How could this be? Seeing that He Hanqing was still dispirited and his injuries showed no signs of recovery, Fei Ren's face became even more serious. The yin-yang Tao art is ineffective. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He Hanqing's injured left arm was still emitting a strong burning flame and devil power aura. If this power was not removed soon, He Hanqing would be devoured by the boundless flames and die on the spot. As expected of the descendant of the ancient devil beast, the Sky Flame Lion. Even if there is only a trace of ancestral bloodline, the boundless flames of the fire spirit Lion King spat out cannot be removed by the yin-yang Tao art at the complete stage. Fei Ren secretly clenched his fists. Unless his yin-yang Tao art could be improved and break through to the higher level of the yin-yang law and comprehend the power of law. Otherwise, it would be difficult to remove the boundless flames of the fire spirit Lion King. There's no other way. Fei Ren shook his head. If he wanted to save He Hanqing's life, he could only cut off his own arm. There was no other way. Crack! His right hand turned into a knife, and Fei Ren cut off He Hanqing's left arm. Blood instantly gushed out. Ugh! He Hanqing's face suddenly changed and seemed to be in pain. However, without the corrosion of the boundless flames, the aura on his body gradually stabilized. It seemed like he had saved his life. Fei Ren, why are you? Seeing this scene, Lily's beautiful eyes suddenly widened. However, before she could say anything, she was interrupted by the other party. You. This is the only way to save your brother. Hurry up and leave. Don't hinder me here. Raising his hand, Fei Ren sent the He siblings flying a short distance away. His face was unusually calm. Brother Fei, this. Scram. Seeing that the two of them were still hesitating, Fei Ren roared again like an enraged beast. Take care. Seeing this, the He siblings hurriedly left as well, heading towards a certain location within the mountain range of magical beasts. On the horizon. Human child, how dare you try to go against me and my people by yourself? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The fire spirit Lion King laughed coldly as he waved his huge and heavy tail, creating gusts of wind. He did not stop the He siblings, as if he felt that the two of them would not be able to escape from his grasp. You are merely a demon king. Moreover, you are the most trashy low king level magical beast. You are at the bottom of the demon kings. I don't even know where you get your confidence from. Fei Ren did not want to be outdone as he revealed a cold smile. You have a sharp tongue. Hearing this, The fire spirit Lion King was even more furious. The demonic energy around him surged, and streaks of blazing flames were spat out. It seemed like he was about to attack again. However, Fei Ren did not intend to fight with him. His left hand turned into a sword as he muttered, "Divine refining cauldron, appear!" Swoosh! A ray of light flashed across the sky. In the next moment, the ancient divine refining cauldron appeared in front of Fei Ren. Seeing his actions, the fire spirit Lion King was stunned and confused. What is this human child planning to do? You want to stop me with just a broken cauldron? You must be dreaming. It felt a vast and ancient aura from the divine refining cauldron. However, that was all. After all, it was a low king-level magical beast. It had a trace of the bloodline of the ancient magical beast Sky Flame Lion flowing in its body. Its strength was enough to crush a human mystique, venerable realm expert of the same rank. Facing Fei Ren, who was only at LV8 Martial King realm, the fire spirit Lion King did not take him seriously at all. Stop you? After summoning the divine refining cauldron, Fei Ren's lips curled up slightly. That's why people say that beasts are beasts. Even if they have cultivated for thousands of years and can speak, their intelligence is still lacking. Did I say I want to fight with you? After all, Fei Ren was not a fool. He was not so arrogant as to challenge the entire fire spirit Lion King alone. Moreover, there was a low king-level fire spirit Lion King among them. Doing so was tantamount to suicide. The fire spirit Lion King, was flustered and exasperated. Fire spirit Lion King, I will remember what happened today. Just you wait. Fei Ren gently patted the divine, refining cauldron in his hand again. In the next moment, all the origin energy in his dantian was injected into it. Even the dozens of overlord demonic tattoos that he had painstakingly refined were instantly drained without any hesitation. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Under everyone's gaze, a tiny space crack appeared out of thin air. It was about the height of a person and was emitting a mysterious heavenly energy. It was very strange. This is a space crack. The fire spirit Lion King's heart skipped a beat. Although it could also use its powerful demonic energy to tear the space, it would consume a lot of demonic energy in time. It cannot be done in a short period of time. Moreover, it could not guarantee that it would succeed and that it would not be devoured by the space crack. Right now, Fei Ren, who is only at LV8 Martial King realm, could successfully tear the space and create a space crack in just a few seconds. It could be described as a miracle that defied the natural order. If it had not seen it with its own eyes, the fire spirit Lion King would not have believed it. Swoosh! Without further ado, Fei Ren glanced coldly at the fire spirit Lion King in the sky, not far away. Then he jumped into the space crack and disappeared in an instant. He ran away. Seeing Fei Ren's figure disappear into the space crack, the fire spirit Lion King was stunned. Then, its eyes turned red and it roared to the sky, as if it was venting its anger that had nowhere to go. Roar! Human kid, I'll remember you. I'll kill you sooner or later. The loud roar of the beast resounded through the heavens and earth. Even the ground under its feet shook a little. Then it gradually quieted down in the rolling magical Beast Mountain range. Somewhere in the magical Beast Mountain range. Swoosh! In midair, a space crack suddenly appeared. Then, a figure fell from it, revealing a delicate and slightly tired face. It was Fei Ren who had escaped. Damn it! I finally got rid of those bastards. Fei Ren wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and staggered to his feet. His eyes were full of fatigue and his limbs were weak. It seemed that his body was still weak at the moment. After all, in order to use the Immortal refining cauldron to tear the space crack and escape, he had almost used up all the origin energy in his dantian and the dozens of overlord demonic marks that he had painstakingly condensed. Chapter 669. The two of them should have escaped the pursuit of the fire spirit lions. Thinking of the He siblings, Fei Ren gritted his teeth and forced himself to use the Overlord's record of Western Shu to heal himself. At the same time, wisps of yin and yang Dao power appear to help heal his injuries. Although the divine refining cauldron was powerful and could tear space apart, it consumed a lot of the martial artist's energy. If not for the fact that Fei Rin's body had already fused perfectly with the immortal refining cauldron, coupled with the fact that his origin energy was far more boundless than an ordinary warrior's and the powerful overlord's magic mark, he might not have been able to escape from the fire spirit Lion King. After all, tearing space was not something that could be done casually. If not for the fact that he had no other choice, Fei Rin would not have used this move. This was his last life-saving trump card. Every time he used the divine refining cauldron to teleport away, it would consume all of his energy. Fei Rin's strength was not even comparable to a martial spirit realm martial artist. His body was very weak, and even a heaven-ranked demonic beast with a weak bloodline could easily tear him apart. Eastern Continent, Heaven's Saint Emperor Dynasty, Imperial Palace Main Hall. A tall and majestic figure stood there with a majestic aura, emitting a boundless majestic aura. In front of him, a middle-aged man in a golden dragon robe and an imperial crown was half-kneeling. The middle-aged man's face was solemn as he stared at the tall figure in the middle of the hall. "Father, why did you do that back then?" If anyone was present at this moment, they would be shocked. The middle-aged man in the dragon robe was none other than the current ruler of the Heaven Saint Emperor Dynasty, the Emperor Zhu Hongwu. "Why?" The tall figure was silent for a moment, then slowly turned around, revealing an old and dignified face. "Hongwu, so many years have passed, and you still can't let go of what happened back then." "Yes. I don't understand." Zhu Hongwu gritted his teeth. Although he knew that he would anger the other party if he continued to ask, he still forced himself to say, "Without the help of the Dragon Sect, our Heaven Saint Emperor Dynasty would not have been able to develop and become the top imperial dynasty in the Eastern Continent." Furthermore, Zhu Hongwu paused and glanced at the tall old man in the main hall until the old man's face gradually turned ashen. "Back then, Father, you were able to defeat all the princes in the family and successfully ascend the throne. It was also inseparable from teacher's help. Without the help of Master and his dragon sect, our Heaven Saint Imperial Court would be nothing." "Shut up." At this point, the tall old man also angrily shouted, rudely interrupting Zhu Hongwu's words. "Hongwu, I don't know whether you are too stupid or too naive. Li Tian and his underlings are not as simple as you think. The Heavenly Dragon Sect was established by Li Tian, and do you think his only motive is to help our Heavenly Saint Imperial Court dominate the Eastern Continent? It has been more than 20 years since you ascended the throne. I didn't expect you to still be as benevolent as before. As an emperor, this is a great taboo," the tall old man said coldly, his tone brooking no disobedience. "I may not know the history of the Heavenly Dragon Sect as well as Father, but I know that it was our Zhu clan and the entire Heaven Saint Imperial Court that betrayed the Heavenly Dragon Sect. If not for Father's decision, the Heavenly Dragon Sect would not have been besieged and hunted down and suffered heavy casualties. A teacher for a day is a father for life. If not for teacher's personal teachings, I would not have reached this step today." Zhu Hongwu gritted his teeth and clenched his fists under his dragon robe. The Heavenly Dragon Sect's Li Tian, whose name shook the continent in the past, was his teacher who personally taught him martial arts. Back then, when the Heavenly Dragon Sect was at its peak, it was also the national religion of the Heaven Saint Imperial Court and was revered. However, when the Heavenly Dragon Sect was besieged by the righteous sects and clans of the continent, not only did the Heavenly Saint Imperial Court not lend a helping hand, they even joined in the pursuit of the Heavenly Dragon Sect. As for Zhu Hongwu, his hands were also stained with the blood of many Heavenly Dragon Sect members. This was a demon in his heart that he could not get rid of. "Enough. Looks like your mind is not very clear recently. You don't have to go to court for the next few days. Stay in the Imperial City's East Palace and calm down." The tall old man flicked his sleeve again and coldly said these words. Then he left in a flash. I didn't expect that old man Li Tian to still be alive. Humph. Is the heavenly dragon sect going to stir up trouble again? After leaving the main hall, the tall old man frowned, and his face was solemn. A few months ago, when he was in seclusion, a few great emperors suddenly came to the imperial city of the Heaven Saint Imperial Court. Other than the mysterious great Emperor Tao Qian, there was also the famous heavenly dragon Sex Li Tian. When he saw his teacher whom he had not seen for decades, the Heaven Saint Emperor Zhu Hongwu's mental state was not very stable, as if he was immersed in the nightmare of his betrayal of the heavenly dragon sect and his teacher. Because of this, as the previous great emperor and Zhu Hongwu's father, the tall old man had to come out of seclusion and temporarily take charge of the Heaven Saint Imperial Court. At the same time, in the heart of the magical Beast Mountain range, under an ancient tree. Brother, do you think Fei Ren will be okay? Leaning against a huge, strange, ancient rock, he Lily asked worriedly. Previously, in order to help the two of them escape, Fei Ren did not hesitate to stay behind alone to fight against the Fire Spirit Lion King and the rest of the Fire Spirit Lions. It could be said that he had entered the tiger's den and had a slim chance of survival. Because of this, he Lily was also very worried. After all, he was her savior. Don't worry, Brother Fei is powerful. He should be fine. Although he was not confident, He Hanqing still pretended to be calm and said, "Let's wait for him here. He won't die." In He Hanqing's opinion, Fei Ren was powerful and powerful. He should not die in the outskirts of the magical Beast Mountain range. Sorry to keep the two of you waiting. At this time, a man's voice came from afar. In the next moment, a gray figure landed on the ground, revealing a delicate and slightly tired face. Fei Ren, seeing the identity of the person who came, He Hanqing and He Lily's faces were filled with joy, and then they hurried to greet him. "Brother Fei, it's great that you're okay. Thank you for saving my brother just now." Fei Ren smiled and said, "I've been tough since I was young. I won't die so easily. I've already left that bunch of bastards far behind. How are we going to enter the ancient weapon refining sect ruins next?" He Hanqing took out the nameless painting scroll from the spirit ring, then pointed to the huge, strange rock beside the ancient tree. According to the records, the entrance to the ruins is under that rock. "Then how are we going to enter?" Fei Ren asked again. "Very simple." He Lily grinned from the side, revealing her crescent moons. "That's enough." Unknowingly, she was holding a small silver disc in her hand. Some strange patterns were engraved on it, simple and elegant. Click, click, click. He Lily stretched out her hand and gently placed the silver disc in the middle of the huge, strange rock. With a tremor, the huge, strange rock split into two, revealing a bottomless underground tunnel. It seemed to be the entrance to the ancient weapon refining sect ruins. Chapter 670. I didn't expect the ancient weapon refining sect to be in a place like this. Looking at the bottomless underground tunnel, Fei Ren's face was filled with emotion. "Brother, Fei Ren, follow me." He Lily leaped and disappeared into the tunnel. "Brother Fei, let's go." He Hanqing also cast his gaze over as he said with a smile. Fei Ren nodded his head and followed him. The three of them disappeared into the tunnel. Click, click, click. In the next moment, the two halves of the strange rock slowly closed, sealing the tunnel as if it had never existed. 10,000 feet underground after about an hour, Fei Ren and the others finally passed through the long tunnel and saw the light of day again. The sky was gray, as if because they were underground, sunlight rarely shone in. They could only see a faint ray of light and a little bit of starlight. These starlight were not natural, but were star spirit stones commonly used by martial artists. Star spirit stones were a special kind of stone. They were usually used for lighting and were widely used by some sects and families in the outside world. Not far away, a grand and simple ancient palace was faintly discernible. In the eyes of Fei Ren and the others, it seemed to be the main hall of the ancient weapon refining sect. Around the main hall, there was a large stretch of small palaces, like stars surrounding the moon. It was a strange sight. However, these palaces all exuded a dilapidated and decayed aura. Dilapidated fences and dilapidated walls. There was not a single person in sight. It was as if they were telling the story of how the ancient weapon refining sect went from glory to destruction. This is the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect? Looking at the scene in front of him, Fei Run was a little surprised. Although the ancient weapon refining sect had been destroyed for thousands of years, its ruins were still so intact and had not suffered much damage. It was rare for martial artists to set foot on it. Obviously, it was extremely rare. Yes, He Hanxi nodded. Just like the other party, even though the He clan was related to the ancient crafting sect and possessed the method to enter the ancient crafting sect, this was his first time entering the ruins of the ancient crafting sect. Of course, because the ancient weapon refining sect was extremely mysterious, the disciples of the sect rarely came out. So even though it was destroyed in the end, it left behind many treasures and inheritances. Basically, no cultivators were able to find this place. Lily chimed in from the side. At the same time, she patted her plump chest with a proud look on her pretty face. Other than Father, the few of us should be the only ones who can enter the weapon refining sect ruins. I see. Hearing this, Fei Ren's face lit up with joy. According to him, the ruins of the crafting school hadn't been visited by anyone for thousands of years. This meant that there were treasures everywhere. Crafting blueprints, heavenly materials, primal stones, spiritual pills, and so on. He could take them all for himself. No one fought with him for it. It was as if he had fallen into a treasure trove. Fei Ren thought to himself, "Brother Fei, there's no time to lose. Let's hurry into the main hall." He Hanqing said again. After all, He Jinwu was still trapped in a large array in the ruins of the ancient crafting sect. The green soul lamp in He Lily's hand was flickering. It was enough to show that the other party's situation was not optimistic. Fei Ren nodded. Although the treasures of the ancient crafting sect were very tempting, he still promised the He clan siblings that he would help He Jinwu break out of the array. As for these treasures, they were not in a hurry. After all, thousands of years had passed. Other than He Jinwu, Fei Ren and the He clan siblings were the few martial artists who could enter the ruins of the ancient crafting sect. No one could compete with them for treasures. A few minutes later, the three of them finally arrived in front of the main hall. They saw a magnificent ancient palace, which was exuding an ancient aura. The ceiling of the palace was engraved with many strange birds and beasts, which seemed to have been carved by the gods. Even the blue stone steps that Fei Run and the others were stepping on were not ordinary. They were made of top-grade emerald stones. However, this was only one of the many palaces. It was enough to show how glorious and powerful the ancient crafting sect was at its peak. Buzz. Just as Fei Run was sighing, the immortal refining cauldron in his dantian suddenly emitted a strange rhythm. It was like a ball of fire that had been awakened, emitting a scorching heat. Fei Run quickly stopped in his tracks. He was also stunned. Then, his expression turned to one of deep surprise. A treasure has appeared nearby. He had also noticed the abnormality of the immortal refining cauldron in his dantian. Ever since he picked up this treasure in the Dacha dynasty's Wuhan town, Fei Run had been exploring the mysteries behind the immortal refining cauldron. After all these years, he had gained some insights. However, the immortal refining cauldron rarely emitted such unusual movements. Basically, the only things that could cause the immortal refining cauldron to resonate rhythmically were the ultimate treasures of heaven and earth. No, it's an aura. Fei Ren shook his head again. His expression was solemn. He did not sense any place rich in spiritual qi nearby. It was clear that the thing that caused the immortal refining cauldron to resonate was not some ultimate treasure of heaven and earth. Instead, there was a powerful and majestic ancient aura enveloping the main hall of the ancient crafting sect ruins before him. Moreover, this ancient aura revealed traces of sharpness and eeriness. It was like the chilly wind in the ghost mansion of hell. It made one feel uncomfortable and strange. What exactly is this aura? Fei Ren looked up at the main hall before him. The entire hall still appeared dilapidated and ancient. There was nothing unusual about it. However, the immortal refining cauldron's resonance did not disappear. He could also sense the peculiarity of the hall before him. The strange aura that enveloped the entire hall could not be dispelled. This aura was not the origin power used by martial artists, nor was it the devil power of a devil beast. It was also not the spiritual chi that nurtured natural treasures. This was an ancient aura that was eerily silent and even carried traces of evil. It did not fit in with the surrounding air, as if it did not belong to this world. Patter, when he saw Feiren suddenly stop in his tracks and stare at the main hall before him, He-Han-Shing turned his head and said, "Brother Fei, what's wrong?" Nothing. Let's go in." Feiren retracted his thoughts and grinned. "Brother, Feiren, come take a look." At this time, He-Lily's shout came from the front. The two of them hurriedly stepped forward. He-Lily's pretty face was filled with surprise. At this moment, she was standing in front of a huge bronze disc. Her pair of jade-like fingers were pointing at it, as if something new had happened. Behind the bronze disc, there was a huge stone door that was tightly shut. It seemed to be the entrance to the main hall. "Brother, what do you think this disc is?" The teachings left behind by our ancestors didn't seem to mention this. He-Lily pursed her lips and looked at him curiously. Seeing this, He-Han-Shing was also stunned for a moment. Then, he shook his head with an awkward expression. "Sister, you're asking this. I don't know either." Ancient astrological disc. Feiren's faint voice came from behind. "If I'm not wrong, this thing should be the ancient astrological disc that records the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. At the same time, it's also the key to opening the main hall's entrance. As long as we can decipher the trajectory of the stars, we can enter the main hall in front of us." As expected of the ancient weapon refining sect, they actually used the stars of the heavens and earth as a protective formation. It seems that it won't be that easy for us to obtain the opportunities inside. Feiren stepped forward and slowly said. Chapter 671. Astrology was a natural phenomenon between heaven and earth. At the same time, it was also a form of metaphysics. For example, the tidal phenomenon that everyone knew, whether it was the rise or fall of the sea, was related to the gravitational pull of the moon in the sky. The bronze disc in front of Fei-Ren recorded the astrology of the Big Dipper in the sky. Whether it was the trajectory of the 7 stars or the various positions, they were all clearly marked. Although thousands or even tens of thousands of years had passed, the astrology on the bronze disc was still undamaged. The records were very clear, and it was obviously very rare. The ancient astrology disc. He-Lily was shocked. "Yes." Feiren nodded and said, "Also, this thing is the key to opening the main hall. If we don't solve this astrology, we might not be able to enter the main hall." "I see. Father has been studying astrology for many years. I'm sure he knows some secrets of the ancient weapon refining sect, and came for this." He-Han-Shing had an epiphany. By the looks of it, He-Jinwu had long planned to explore the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. At the same time, he had solved the Big Dipper on the ancient astrology disc and entered the ancient weapon refining sect's main hall. However, his luck was not very good. He was now trapped in an ancient formation in the main hall and could not escape. "Feiren, how are we going to solve this Big Dipper?" He-Lily looked troubled when she heard that. She knew nothing about astrological metaphysics. As for her brother, He-Han-Shing, he was more or less a dabbler. He was miles away from the head of the family, He-Jinwu. He would not be able to solve this astrology unless they broke the formation with brute force and rushed into the ancient weapon refining sect's main hall. "Are we going to force our way in?" He-Lily suddenly had a bold idea. "Miss Lily, if we break the formation with brute force, I'm afraid it won't work." As if reading her mind, Feiren shook his head and said helplessly, "This main hall is surrounded by a powerful invisible barrier. With our strength, we won't be able to break it, unless the person attacking is a high-level mystique venerable or a Saint Rel powerhouse. Only then will we be able to break the formation. If we want to enter the main hall safely, we have to solve the astrology in front of us." This Hearing this, Lily let out a sigh. Her beautiful face was a little disappointed. She then looked at Fei-Run. Fei-Ren, do you have any good ideas? Of course there is a way. Fei-Ren spoke neither hurriedly nor slowly. He then stepped forward, his gaze landing on the bronze disc. Just now, he had already observed that there were a total of 4 tightly shut stone doors in the main hall. However, only one of them was the real entrance, which was the life door. The rest were most likely the death door. If he accidentally opened it, it would be very dangerous. The 7 stars are lined up, pointing towards the southeast. Fei-Run rubbed his chin as his gaze swept across the Big Dipper on the bronze disc. Since the ancient weapon refining sect has set up a celestial formation to protect the entire main hall, it shouldn't be that easy to break through. The stone door in the southeast is most likely the death door, just a smoke bomb. The Big Dipper was divided into Dubhi, Merak, Fekta, Migrez, Alioth, Mizar, and Alkaid. Among them, Dubhi, Merak, Fekta, and Migrez were the body of the Dipper, while Alioth, Mizar, and Alkaid were the handle. The handle pointed towards the 4 directions of north, south, east, and west. Each direction indicated a celestial phenomenon, and the handle of the Big Dipper in front of Fei-Run was pointing towards the southeast. Brother Fei, what do you need us to do next? Just tell us. He Han-Ching spoke from the side, his face a little nervous. After all, he didn't know anything about astrology and couldn't help much in breaking through the formation. He could only be an assistant on the side. No need. The 2 of you just need to stand guard at the side. Be careful. There might be changes later. Fei-Ren didn't even turn his head. The next moment, he reached out and pressed lightly on the astrology, then shifted the Big Dipper's trajectory slightly. Click, click, click. The astrology moved slowly, and the handle of the Big Dipper gradually turned towards the northwest. Seeing this, he Han-Ching and he Lily held their breaths and watched attentively, not daring to make sound. Rumble! Just as the handle of the Big Dipper moved completely towards the northwest, the 5 stone doors of the main hall that were originally tightly shut began to tremble slowly, stirring up a cloud of dust as if they were about to open. Bam! Gurgle, gurgle. The next moment, one of the stone doors opened with a loud bang, followed by a cloud of thick green mist and a foul stench. It instantly spread out in all directions outside the hall, corroding and melting everything in its path. Even the sturdy green stone slabs under their feet were not spared. They were corroded and turned into fine powder, emitting ear-piercing, sizzling sounds. This is miasma. Seeing this, Fei-Ren's expression changed slightly. Behind the stone door was a huge amount of miasma, comparable to a giant poison vault. With such a huge amount of miasma, even a high-level mystique, venerable rank martial artist could fail miserably and be corroded by the miasma on the spot, not even leaving behind ashes. Ah, what is this? Lily let out a shriek. Her pretty face was filled with terror. The corner of her clothes and her lower abdomen were accidentally contaminated by a trace of miasma. Immediately, they were corroded into nothingness, revealing a pure white arm and delicate body. Sister. Beside her, He Han-Ching's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly went forward to pick her up, then leaped out of the miasma's range. As expected, it's not that simple. Behind the stone door was the death door. This path was blocked. Fei-Ren's heart skipped a beat. He turned to look at the He family's siblings not far away. Stay away from here. This is a highly toxic miasma. Even a mystique, venerable rank martial artist would find it difficult to resist. Ordinary martial artists will definitely die if they touch it. Miasma. He Han-Ching's expression was solemn. As for He Lily in his arms, her pretty face was pale and she looked flustered. At this moment, she was hugging He Han-Ching's waist tightly. She did not make a sound, as if she had been frightened out of her wits. After all, no one had expected such a huge amount of highly toxic miasma to suddenly erupt from behind the stone door. If He Han-Ching had not been there, He Lily would have been melted into a pile of ashes by the miasma. Not even her bones would be left. There are 4 stone doors left. This means that one of them must be the life door. Although they were surrounded by a large amount of miasma, Fei Ren still stood in front of the bronze disc. His gaze was fixed on the Big Dipper on it, and he did not retreat. The astrological trajectory in a northwest direction was not the life door to the main hall. This meant that the life door to the main hall existed in the 4 astrological trajectories: northeast, southeast, southwest, and center. As long as he moved the Big Dipper on the bronze disc and placed its handle on the corresponding astrological trajectory, the life door would be opened. On the other hand, if he failed to open it, he would trigger the death door and bring unknown danger, just like the terrifying miasma that was currently shrouding the area. Continue. Fei Ren made up his mind. As he activated his protective origin power and Overlord Mageweth to protect himself, he continued to move the Big Dipper on the bronze disc. Wealth came from danger. Opportunity and danger had always coexisted. Whether it was entering the main hall to search for treasures or to save people, he could not back down easily. Otherwise, all his efforts would be for naught. Chapter 672. Just as Fei Ren was focused on studying the ancient astrological disc, the surrounding miasma started to spread towards them. TSK, TSK, TSK. The ear-piercing sound of poison corroding the air rang out all around Fei Ren's body. In the next moment, even his protective yuan power started to melt. If it wasn't for the Overlord's magic rune, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold on for more than 5 seconds. What a powerful miasma. Even with my protective origin energy, it can't even last for a second. Looking at this scene, Fei Ren's eyelids twitched violently as his heart trembled in fear. If it wasn't for the Overlord's magic mark, he would have been melted by the miasma within a second. However, using the Overlord's magic mark to resist the miasma was only a temporary measure. With Fei Ren's origin energy cultivation of LV8 Martial King realm, he could at most condense 50 Overlord's magic marks in his Dantian. Although the number was much more than before, it was still difficult for him to be completely immune to the miasma. At most, he could hold on for a while longer. Big Dipper shift northeast. Before the miasma entered his body, Fei Ren raised his hand and slammed it onto the ancient astrological disc. Boom! With the infusion of origin energy, the ancient Big Dipper constellation moved again. Crack, crack, crack. The handle of the Alioth, Mizar, and Alcade stars gradually shifted from the northwest to the northeast. At the same time, outside the main hall, the He siblings were also in danger as they were surrounded by the endless miasma. Pure Yang 9 Flames technique. Facing the incoming miasma, He Hanqing's face was solemn. He put his palms together and instantly gathered all the origin energy in his body. Boom! In the next moment, a majestic flame energy swept out from He Hanqing's body and enveloped He Lily. It shone with a dazzling red light, as if they were in a flame domain. Even the air was emitting a burning smell. TSK, TSK, TSK. In the face of such a powerful flame domain, the surrounding miasma, which was originally unstoppable, retreated slightly. A large amount of miasma evaporated in an instant, turning into gray rain that dripped onto the limestone floor. It's working. Seeing the surrounding miasma recede, He Hanqing's face lit up. What he practiced was the pure Yang 9 Flames technique, which was handed down in his family. Although the level of this technique was not high, only at the middle of the heaven level, which was far inferior to Fei Ren's holy level technique, the record of the Overlord of Western Chu. However, it could make the original energy of a warrior carry the pure Yang flame, which could restrain a part of the evil spirit in the world. Evil beings, such as miasma, plagues, and even some soul bodies could be restrained by He Hanqing's pure Yang flames. Brother, be careful. However, before He Hanqing could be happy for too long, He Lily's anxious shout came from the side. The next moment, the miasma that had retreated came back again. Its power was far stronger than before. It seemed to be getting fiercer and fiercer. What? When he saw this scene, He Hanqing's expression suddenly changed, and it instantly became extremely unsightly. How could this be? Even his family's pure Yang Nine Flames technique was unable to deal with the miasma that pervaded the surroundings. Right now, the entire area around the main hall was shrouded in a large amount of miasma. Didn't that mean that the two of them were already at a dead end? Am I going to die here today? Just like the other party, Lily's eyes were also filled with despair. There were still many things in her heart that she had not done, many dreams that she had not completed, and even her dearest father had not been saved. Right now, she was going to die in the ruins of the ancient refining sect that had been uninhabited for thousands of years. Other than despair, there was also a deep sense of unwillingness in her heart. Boom! Just as the He brother and sister were about to be engulfed by the surrounding miasma, another earth-shattering sound rang out. In the next moment, the originally unstoppable miasma also quickly retreated, like ice and snow melting in early spring. With a speed visible to the naked eye, it quickly retreated into one of the stone doors in the main hall and finally disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. However, the mess around them, as well as the exposed bluestone floor, was a clear indication that the miasma that attacked them was not a dream. What's going on? Having narrowly escaped death, Lily's face was still in shock. Her beautiful face was pale, and traces of tears could be seen at the corner of her eyes. Finally made it. After resetting the ancient astrological compass, seeing that the He brother and sister were not in danger, Feyrin also let out a sigh of relief. After all, with the He brother and sister's cultivation base and strength, it was impossible for them to withstand the miasma. If he had been a little slower, the two of them would have died without a doubt. It's Brother Fey. Sister, we're saved. Hanqing also let out a long sigh of relief. However, Feyrin did not dare to let his guard down. After all, even he did not know which of the remaining 4 stone doors was the key to entering the main hall, the final door of life. Click, click, click. As the ancient astrological compass was completely restored, the handle of the Big Dipper stopped in the northeast direction, and the stone door that originally contained the miasma was also completely sealed. In the next moment, the other stone door on the side slowly opened, letting out a heavy and loud sound. Boom! As all the stone doors opened, Feyrin's heart was in his throat. Door of life. Door of life. Please don't let it be the door of death. However, as the saying goes, what one fears will come true. Swoosh! In the next moment, a large number of strange, poisonous insects flew out. There were all kinds of colorful insects, and they instantly filled the entire main hall. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Dense, poisonous insects swept out, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was like a swarm of locusts, a black mass, letting out ear-piercing screeches that sent chills down one's spine. Poisonous insects. Damn it, it's the door of death again. Seeing this scene, Feyrin cursed in his heart. He hurriedly turned the ancient astrological compass around, trying to reposition it and change its trajectory. To hit 2 doors of death consecutively, his luck was really unparalleled. He almost played himself to death. Click! The constellation moved, the center direction, the door of death. Click! The constellation moved, the southeast direction, the door of death again. Unknowingly, 2 hours had passed. After going through several life and death situations, Feyrin and the rest finally found the exact location of the Big Dipper constellation. They moved the handle to the southwest direction and found the hidden door of life. At the same time, they opened the key to enter the ancient weapon refining sect's main hall. This damn place is too dangerous. We finally entered the main hall. After going through a life and death situation, Hanqing also sat down on the ground, panting heavily. What's that? In the next moment, his gaze was attracted to a strangely shaped ancient cauldron in the middle of the main hall. What a huge ancient cauldron! Lily let out a gasp of surprise. Is this thing an alchemy cauldron? Following the two's gaze, Feyrin's eyes also turned cold. In the middle of the main hall, there was a strangely shaped, tall, and domineering ancient cauldron. The 2 sides of the ancient cauldron were slightly rusted, and around the body of the cauldron were exquisite coiling dragon and Tao-Tai patterns, looking quite extraordinary. In the middle of the ancient cauldron, there were 3 simple black words: Cast Dragon Cauldron. Cast Dragon Cauldron. What a domineering name. Feyrin secretly exclaimed in his heart. Chapter 673. I didn't expect that there would be an ancient cauldron here. It seems that there are indeed many opportunities hidden in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. Yihanqing said, as a half-step mystique venerable. Although his strength was not as good as Feyrin's, he was from the He family of Tianfeng City, so his eyesight was not low. At that moment, he could tell that the dragon-casting cauldron in front of him was extraordinary. It was not an ordinary alchemy cauldron. After all, a cauldron that could be collected by an ancient sect like the ancient weapon refining sect was obviously of high quality. Brother, although this dragon-casting cauldron is of extraordinary value, its size is a little too big. It seems to weigh at least dozens of tons. He Lily turned to look at Yihanqing and said with some difficulty, "It seems like we can't move it with just a few of us. It's also a problem." Hearing this, Yihanqing also hesitated for a moment. The dragon-casting cauldron in front of them was too big. It was at least dozens of tons. Even if a few adults worked together, it would be difficult to move it by even half an inch. Moreover, the spirit rings in their hands were not of a high grade. They were only ordinary top-grade spirit rings and had not reached the earth grade. The internal space was not enough to accommodate the dragon-casting cauldron in front of them. Earth-grade spirit rings were generally rare, and the internal space was several times that of top-grade spirit rings. However, Yihanqing and He Lily did not have spirit rings of this level. "You two, come over and take a look." Just as the two of them were in a dilemma, Feyrin's voice came from the side. Feyrin stood quietly in front of the huge dragon-casting cauldron. His gaze was carefully examining the inscriptions within, his eyes flickering. "Brother Fey, what are you doing?" Yihanqing was a little puzzled. He Lily, who was following beside him, also looked over curiously. "What's wrong? This thing is not some alchemy cauldron, but a casting spirit cauldron." Facing the confusion of the two, Feyrin grinned and said indifferently, "Casting spirit cauldron?" The two of them were stunned for a moment, as if they still did not understand. "Yes." In the next moment, Feyrin nodded again and explained unhurriedly. As the name suggests, this thing is a special spiritual cauldron that specializes in forging spiritual treasure magical artifacts, and even high-grade spiritual treasures. As we all know, in order to create a qualified spiritual treasure, other than the weapon refiner's own strength, the weapon refiner's materials, the demon core, and the cauldron to condense spirit chi are all indispensable. If I'm not mistaken, this casting dragon cauldron is the casting spirit cauldron that the ancient weapon refining sect used to forge high-grade spirit treasures. At this point, Feyrin's eyes were burning with passion. As the saying goes, spirit dawn are easy to obtain, but treasures are hard to find. For martial artists, it was not easy to find a powerful natal spiritual treasure that was suitable for him or her. Although Feyrin already had the mid-grade earth-grade spirit treasure, the Star-Shattering Blade, the grade of the Star-Shattering Blade could only be said to be ordinary. It could not be considered the world's top grade, let alone a peerless spirit treasure. Therefore, he planned to raise the grade of the Star-Shattering Blade, causing its power to increase by another level. The key to increasing the power and grade of the spirit treasure lay in the casting dragon cauldron in front of him. Not only could the casting dragon cauldron forge spirit treasures, it could also refine spirit treasures and cause them to undergo a new transformation. Its power had increased greatly. "This thing is a good treasure. I can't just leave it here and waste it," Feyrin thought to himself. From the very beginning, he had seen through the extraordinariness of the casting dragon cauldron. He had already planned to level up the Star-Shattering Blade. "Brother Fey, what do you plan to do? If we leave this cauldron here, there's a high chance that we won't be able to take it away." As if he had also seen through Feyrin's covetousness towards the casting dragon cauldron, Yihanqing tactfully gave up on fighting for it and asked, After all, although the casting dragon cauldron was rare, it was useless to him. Furthermore, if they wanted to save He Jinwoo, the two siblings would have to rely on Fei Ren's strength. Naturally, I won't carry this giant with me. There's no need for that, and there's no need to go through so much trouble. Fei Ren smiled and glanced at He Hanqing and He Lily beside him. I plan to stay here and use the power of the casting dragon cauldron to level up my spirit treasure, the star-shattering blade. As for the promise I made to you siblings, it still remains. Once the star-shattering blade has been upgraded, I will go with you to save them. I see. Hearing this, He Hanqing was somewhat surprised, but his expression returned to normal. It turned out that the other party had been aiming to use the casting dragon cauldron to upgrade his natal spirit treasure from the beginning. There's nothing I can do about it. This casting dragon cauldron has lost a lot of spirit energy, and its internal structure and external cauldron body are also damaged on a large scale. I don't think it can be used many times. Fei Ren nodded and said apologetically. It wasn't that he didn't want to save them immediately, but it was a rare opportunity. Due to the passage of time, the casting dragon cauldron in front of him was already broken. At most, it could support the spirit treasure to level up once, and then it would be completely destroyed. Fei Ren naturally didn't want to let go of such a good opportunity. Although the star-shattering blade in his hand was only an Earth-grade middle-rank spirit treasure, if it was reforged by the casting dragon cauldron, there was a high chance that it could level up and break through. Its power would increase by more than a few times, and it might even break through to the heaven-grade spirit treasure level. Whoosh! Taking out the star-shattering blade from his back, Fei Ren took a deep breath as the crescent-shaped blade appeared and shone with a cold light. Let's begin. Clang! After sending the star-shattering blade into the casting dragon cauldron in front of him, strands of pure origin energy emerged from Fei Ren's dantian. Then it wrapped around the casting dragon cauldron in front of him like a white ball of light. Although Fei Ren didn't know how to refine weapons and didn't know anything about it, he had the casting dragon cauldron in his hand. Therefore, it was a piece of cake for him to reforge and upgrade the star-shattering blade. Unlike the weapon refiner who used a spirit cauldron to personally forge a spirit treasure, it was very easy for an ordinary martial warriors to upgrade their own spirit treasure, as long as they had a casting spirit cauldron in their hands. The martial warriors poured their own origin energy into the casting spirit cauldron, and the spirit chi contained within the spirit cauldron would resonate with the martial warrior's own origin energy, causing the spirit treasure to automatically transform and level up. After all, the difficulty of forging a spirit treasure and upgrading a spirit treasure was different. The latter was easier, and with the help of the casting spirit cauldron, even a layman like Fei Ren who knew nothing about the way of refining could recast and upgrade his own spirit treasure. Unknowingly, another hour passed. Wong, rumble. Under Fei Ren's nervous gaze, the casting dragon cauldron, which was wrapped in a white light of origin energy, also throbbed. Then, the cauldron trembled and spat out a large amount of white mist. In the next moment, a powerful spiritual energy fluctuation spread out in all directions. A crescent-shaped silver moon blade quietly floated above the casting dragon cauldron. The cold light was dazzling and threatening. The blade was as sharp as snow, causing people to shudder in fear. Success! Seeing this scene, Fei Ren was stunned at first, but then a trace of ecstasy appeared on his face. Chapter 674. Kacha. The moment the star-shattering blade came out of the furnace, the already damaged dragon-casting cauldron also cracked like a spider web. Bang! In the next moment, the entire dragon-casting cauldron also exploded, turning into broken bricks and rubble on the ground. Only a cloud of white mist lingered in the hall for a long time. After successfully recasting and upgrading the star-shattering blade, the last trace of spirit energy contained in the dragon-casting cauldron was completely exhausted, turning it into a scrap. However, although he had lost a rare spirit-casting cauldron, Fei Ren was not sad at all, because he had another heaven-grade spirit treasure in his hands. Low-tier heaven grade. Raising his hand to circulate his origin energy, Fei Run held the brand new star shattering blade tightly in his palm, his face filled with excitement. After a round of recasting and forging by the dragon casting cauldron, the star-shattering blade had actually transformed from a mid-tier Earth-grade spirit treasure to a low-tier heaven-grade spirit treasure. Its power had increased by more than several times, which was something he did not expect at first. As expected, after the dragon casting cauldron's refinement, the star-shattering blade's grade has not only greatly increased, but its power has also far surpassed that of an Earth-grade spirit treasure. It is comparable to a low-tier heaven-grade spirit treasure. Feeling strands of powerful spirit energy coming from the blade, Fei Run took a deep breath and calmed his excited mood. First, he obtained a small piece of spirit-accumulating bone in the ancient city. Then he successfully upgraded the star-shattering blade in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, transforming it into a true heaven-grade spirit treasure. This trip to the Emperor's pit was not in vain. It could be said that there were many opportunities. Congratulations, Brother Fei. On the side, He Hanqing also stepped forward and cupped his hands, his face filled with emotion. Like the other party, he also had a natal spirit treasure, but it was only an ordinary low-tier Earth-grade spirit treasure. It could not be compared to the star-shattering blade in Fei Ren's hand, let alone a low-tier heaven-grade spirit treasure. Moreover, under close observation, He Hanqing could also feel the sharpness and power of the star-shattering blade in Fei Ren's hand. Even if Fei Ren did not use his origin energy, just a light swing of the blade would probably be able to easily cut the hardest diamond in the world into two halves. What a good blade! He Hanqing couldn't help but feel a little envious. As a member of the younger generation, he was also one of the famous geniuses around the Imperial Pit. Although he did not have the qualifications to enter the Grandmaster list, and could not be compared to the true martial geniuses on the list, He Hanqing was also very eager for opportunities. Right now, if he could obtain some treasures and opportunities in the ancient crafting sect ruins, he might be able to break through the shackles of his cultivation, comprehend his life chart ability, and step into mystique venerable rank. Brother, the aura Dad left on the soul lamp has weakened again. At this moment, Lily's exclamation came from the side. What? Hearing this, He Hanqing's expression changed slightly. Father, how is the situation? Compared to before, the aura that Father left in the soul lamp has weakened by more than half. Now it's less than 30%. Lily said with a tearful voice. There's no other way. I can only follow the soul lamp's guidance to find my father's location. He Hanqing's expression was solemn as he looked at the other side of the main hall. There was a passageway there that seemed to lead deeper into the hall. The closer they got, the stronger the soul lamp in Lily's hand felt. It was obvious that the ancient formation that trapped He Jinwu was not far away from them. Beside them, Fei Run was still rummaging through the main hall, looking for treasures, herbs, and vitality stones as if he had nothing to do with this. What's this? Fei Ren was surprised when he took out a few pieces of tattered blueprints from a bronze box. These are crafting blueprints? Fei Ren glanced at them briefly and saw that there were some numinous treasures, hidden weapons, mechanisms, and even the method to create puppets. It seemed to be some kind of original blueprint for crafting weapons. In some aspects, crafting blueprints were not inferior to the casting dragon cauldron. Brother Fei, not far away. He Hanqing's shout interrupted Fei Ren's thoughts. I can only take these things with me and study them when I get back. Seeing this, Fei Ren also put away the miscellaneous refining blueprints, then leaped up and left, following the footsteps of the He brother and sister. At the same time, in the Dacha dynasty, the Empress Palace, there was not a single person in the magnificent hall. Although the decorations in the hall were luxurious, it was unavoidably cold and lonely. It lacked a trace of life in the mortal world. Sigh. A sigh resounded out as a beautiful woman with a slender figure and a graceful figure laid silently on the phoenix bed in the hall. The woman wore a light golden phoenix robe, a pearl hairpin and silver ornaments in her hair, and her beautiful eyes were like pills while her smile was like a flower. She seemed graceful, luxurious, and charming. Fei Ren, when will you come back? You said you'd come back to see me. Ah, you be asterisk starred. Don't tell me you've forgotten your promise with me. The woman in the phoenix robe fiddled with the sachet in her hand as she muttered. Her beautiful eyebrows were slightly knitted, as if she was a little wife who had been wronged. At this moment, if someone was present, they would be surprised to find that the woman in the phoenix robe was none other than the Empress of Great Chu, whose name resounded throughout the entire Dacha dynasty, causing the neighboring Dongling province, Beigong Kingdom, and other dynasties to tremble in fear. The dignified Empress of Great Chu, an existence who controlled the life and death of the world, was actually alone in an empty hall, missing a young man. In the imaginations of countless people in the Dacha dynasty, this was simply impossible. Your Majesty, just as Chu Qian was deep in thought, a young palace maid slowly walked up from the side. She knelt on the ground with a respectful face and a cautious tone. She seemed to be the Empress' personal palace maid. Little Qing, have you completed the task I've given you? Seeing this, Chu Qian retracted her thoughts and regained her usual dignity. Yes, the young palace maid nodded and said respectfully, Your Majesty, that lady called Chun Tingting has been invited to the mental cultivation hall. She is waiting for your Majesty's summons. Very good. Immediately summon her to this consort. This consort has something to discuss with her. Hearing this, Chu Qian waved her hand. Yes, the young palace maid slowly retreated out of the hall. Wuhan Town's Taizhong sect leader has arrived. After a while, along with the palace maid's shout, a young woman dressed in a blue and white martial robe with an emerald jade on her waist also stepped into the hall. The young woman had a capable ponytail, her hair was as white as snow, and her egg-like face was exquisite and beautiful. Her temperament was extraordinary, and she looked very valiant. Obviously, she was also a martial artist. Seeing Chu Qian lazily lying on the phoenix chair, the young woman hurriedly knelt down on one knee and cupped her hands respectfully. I am Chen Tingting. Greetings, Your Majesty. Although she was now the leader of a sect and was not weak in the Dacha dynasty, she was still a small character. Naturally, she could not be compared to Chu Qian. After all, the other party was the ruler of the Dacha dynasty, the current empress of the Great Chu. You are Fei Ren's former junior sister? Looking at the valiant and straightforward Chun Tingting, who looked like a heroine, Chu Qian's eyes lit up. In the next moment, she slowly stood up and walked to the other party. Chen Tingting, I've heard Fei Ren mention you before. You are indeed a valiant and valiant heroine. Chu Qian retracted her usual dignified expression and revealed a rare, beautiful smile as she said softly, Your Majesty. Hearing this, Chun Tingting was also stunned for a moment. Her face was astonished, and she said somewhat flattered, Many years ago, before this little girl became the head of the Iron Palm School, the Fei Ren that the Empress mentioned was this little girl's senior. However, as early as a few decades ago, senior brother Fei Ren left Wu and Town's Taizhong sect to cultivate. Since then, no one knows where he went. I wonder why Your Majesty is looking for me this time. Chapter 675. It's nothing. I just want to chat with you casually. You don't have to be too restrained. Seeing that Chun Tingting was indeed Fei Ren's junior sister from the same sect, Chu Qian smiled and said, All these years, I heard that your Iron Palm sect has developed well in Wuhan Town and even the entire Azure Sun County. There are many young disciples in the sect, and some of them are good seedlings for martial arts. It had been many years since Fei Ren left, and she had gradually grown from the willful princess of the past to the empress of Chu whose name shook the world. Not only had she restored the former glory of the Chu clan, but she had also allowed the Chu dynasty to expand its territory and become even more powerful. Although Chu Qian and Fei Ren did not reach the stage of giving their bodies to each other, their relationship was not ordinary. It was more than friends, but not yet lovers. The days when the two of them were exiled together and supported each other were still vivid in her heart. Therefore, when she saw Fei Ren's junior sister from the same sect, Chu Qian also subconsciously felt a trace of admiration. Your Majesty is too kind. I don't dare. The Iron Palm sect was able to develop over the years without the help of the other elders. Facing Chu Qian's praise, Chun Tingting was a little flattered. She lowered her head and cupped her hands. Her tone was very humble. Although she didn't know the relationship between her former senior brother Fei Run and the Empress of the Chu dynasty, and why the Empress of the Chu dynasty would frequently mention him, Fei Ren was only the sect master of a small sect in a county of the Chu dynasty, so she naturally didn't dare to associate with him. Seeing that the other party was a little fearful, Chu Qian was also stunned for a moment. Then, she smiled gently and said, Miss Chun, Fei Ren was my friend back then. Since you are his junior sister from the same sect, you are naturally my guest. You don't have to be so restrained. Come, you'll be in charge of telling this consort about Fei Ren from back then, right? I'm a little curious. After saying that, Chu Qian walked forward naturally and gently held Chun Tingting's jade-like hand. Okay, Your Majesty. Seeing this, Chun Tingting was a little surprised, but she still nodded in the next moment. That's right. How is the foundation of the Iron Palm Gate under your command? Chu Qian seemed to have suddenly recalled something as she turned her head to look at Chun Tingting. Your Majesty, the Iron Palm Gate is currently only a first-rate force and has yet to be ranked. Compared to the other ancient sects of the Dacha dynasty, there's still a large gap. Chun Tingting explained slowly. Over the years, under her governance, the Iron Palm School had developed rapidly, rising from a nameless third-rate force to a first-rate force. There were no less than a dozen Middle Unity Realm experts in the school. As for Chun Tingting herself, she was a high-level Star Realm cultivator. Her origin energy cultivation had already reached the 4th level of the Star Realm. She wasn't considered weak within the Dacha dynasty and could be considered a hero. However, compared to the established 9 ranks of the great families in the Dacha dynasty, such as the Qingyuan sect and the Lingjian school, the Iron Palm School's foundation and power were much weaker. It was difficult for them to contend against the Qingyuan sect. Just a first-rate force? Chu Qian's beautiful eyes flashed, and she was somewhat surprised. Back then, the martial Dao prodigy who was able to nurture a figure like Fei Run, who stirred up the entire Dacha dynasty and even the 4 countries at the border of the southeast region, came from a mere first-rate force. It couldn't even compare to the 9 ranks of the great families. This was the first time Chu Qian knew about Fei Ren's background, and she was also very surprised. Yes, Chun Tingting said respectfully again, this little girl doesn't dare to lie to your Majesty. Everything I said is true. The foundation of a first-rate force is still too weak. Fei Ren is my friend after all. This is simply too embarrassing. Chu Qian gently rested her chin on her hand and seemed to be deep in thought. In the next moment, she said, How about this? Pass down my decree. From today onwards, the Iron Palm Gate will be conferred as the 9 ranks of the great families. All the cultivation resources and primordial stones and treasures that they lack will be provided by the Imperial Court. As long as I am still alive, your Iron Palm Gate can send people to the capital at any time and place to seek an audience. If there are any difficulties, I will definitely help. Chu Qian made a promise very straightforwardly. Promoted to the 9 ranks of the great families. Chun Tingting, who was at the side, was stunned on the spot. What was going on? This was simply like a big pie falling from the sky. From a sudden summons to the great Chu Empress in front of him, personally promising to unconditionally support the Iron Palm Gate to be promoted to the 9 ranks of the great families. It all came out of the blue. Your Majesty, is what you said true? Everything that happened in front of him was like a dream. Chun Tingting only regained her senses after a long time. Her tone was still filled with disbelief. Of course, when have I ever bragged? From today onwards, your Iron Palm Gate will be protected by the Imperial Court and the Chu clan. As long as I am here, no one will dare to provoke you. With a light snort, Chu Qian placed her hands on her hips and said proudly, as if she had regained her usual unruly and willful princess attitude. Thank you, your Majesty. Hearing this, Chun Tingting also hurriedly knelt down on one knee, her pretty face filled with excitement. Eldest senior brother, what exactly did you experience after leaving the Iron Palm Gate? Even the current emperor is your close friend. The figure of Fei Run, when he left, appeared in her mind, and Chun Tingting's heart was filled with emotions. It had already been 7 to 8 years since the Iron Palm sect had been massacred. Old sect master Guahuai, Elder Li, and the others had all fallen in that calamity. At that time, the key person who had supported the Iron Palm sect from being completely destroyed was Fei Run. If it wasn't for Fei Run using his life to persuade the Night Devil Fairy to retreat, not only would the Iron Palm Gate be destroyed, even she wouldn't have lived to this day, much less become the new sect master of the Iron Palm Gate. After a few hours, Chun Tingting also left the imperial city with Chu Qian's imperial edict and title. Sect master. As soon as he left the city, a figure flashed past him and landed in front of Chun Tingting. He cupped his fists and said, "Your subordinates have been waiting here for sect master for a long time. I wonder why Her Majesty has specially summoned you to the palace?" The person who came was dressed in a green robe. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His thin face seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life. It was Gu Jin, who had a grudge with Fei Run in the past. However, many years had passed, and the grudges of the past had long since disappeared with the wind. The current Gu Jin was the vice sect master of the Iron Palm Gate, one of Chun Tingting's right-hand men, and was highly regarded. "It's nothing. It's just that Her Majesty wants to inquire about Fei Ren's eldest senior brother," Chun Tingting said. "Eldest senior brother Fei Ren? Could it be that eldest senior brother has returned?" Hearing this, Gu Jin was stunned at first. Then his expression turned to one of deep surprise. When Fei Ren left Wuhan town, he had entrusted the future of the Iron Palm Gate to them. Now, many years had passed, and the Iron Palm Gate had developed rapidly. However, they had never seen any trace of Fei Ren again. "I don't know either. Perhaps eldest senior brother is now training in the outside world, and is not on the same path as us." Chun Tingting shook her head and smiled. An imperceptible bitterness appeared on her beautiful face. Once upon a time, she had developed feelings for that person. However, it was only her own wishful thinking. The concubine had feelings, but the man had no feelings for her. At the same time, in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, deep in the main hall, tap, 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 following the guidance of the soul lamp, Fei Ren and the others also gradually went deeper and deeper. Finally, they came to the entrance of an ancient dungeon. The dungeon was lonely and secluded. The dome above was dripping with water, and the heavy iron chain hanging at the door had long been broken. It looked like it had been here for some years, and there were no traces of people. "Brother, there's no mistake. Father isn't here." Glancing at the entrance of the dungeon, he Lily said with certainty. At this point, the green soul lamp in her hand had reached its peak. Clearly, He Jinwu was trapped in this nameless dungeon. Chapter 676. There's no time to lose. Let's go in and save Father. He Hanqing took a deep breath and walked toward the entrance of the dungeon. Wait! However, in the next moment, he was stopped by Fei Run, who was behind him. Brother Fei? He Hanqing was puzzled. Fei Ren's figure flashed and came to his side. At the same time, he looked around the entrance of the dungeon and said in a low voice, "There's something wrong with the aura of this place. There might be some kind of formation. I think we should be careful." He had noticed earlier that the entrance of the dungeon was shrouded in an evil and mysterious aura. It did not fit in with the surrounding environment. It was exactly the same as when they first entered the main hall of the ancient weapon refining sect. It's this strange, evil aura again. Fei Ren's expression was solemn, and he was very cautious. Fei Ren, is Father trapped in the ancient formation of this deep dungeon? He Lily asked anxiously. Maybe, I'm not too sure. Anyway, this place is very dangerous. Fei Ren paused for a moment and said, "Let it come out and explore the way first." As soon as he said that, Fei Ren raised his hand and touched the spirit ring on his finger. Swoosh! In the next moment, a white light flashed and Puppet Little White, covered in thick bone armor, appeared out of thin air. Its eyes were cold and its face was pale. Its limbs were muscular and strong. It was no different from an ordinary human. Its strength was also infinitely close to that of a human mystique venerable. However, Little White still hadn't developed intelligence. At this moment, it didn't say a word, and its movements were slightly stiff. The evolution failed. Seeing this, Fei Ren was a little surprised. Then, a look of confusion appeared on his face. Strange, how could this be? It had already used a piece of the spirit accumulating bone to successfully transform into a human, but it still had not gained sentience. This was unacceptable to Fei Ren. After all, he had spent a lot of effort to find a piece of rare spirit accumulating bone. Could it be that the power of this small piece of spirit accumulating bone is only enough to help Little White increase its strength, but not enough to help it develop intelligence and become a real human? This thought suddenly appeared in Fei Ren's mind. In the next moment, he fell into deep thought. If he was not mistaken, he would probably need a piece of spirit accumulating bone or other treasures of heaven and earth that contained spiritual chi as a substitute if he wanted Little White to develop intelligence and become a human being. Little White, go! Collecting his thoughts, Fei Ren raised his hand. Whoosh! In the next moment, the puppet Whitey also held a pair of sharp bone blades in its hands and directly charged toward the entrance of the dungeon not far away. It had obviously received Fei Ren's orders and went forward alone to scout the way. Although it hasn't completely evolved, Puppet Whitey's current strength is comparable to a human mystique venerable rank. I can only think of a way in the future. It was more important to enter the dungeon to save people. Fei Ren did not have the time to search for a piece of spirit accumulating bone. Moreover, a treasure like a spirit accumulating bone was extremely rare. It was basically priceless in the outside world. Even if one had primordial stones, it was not something that could be easily obtained. Clang! Clang! Puppet Whitey rushed to the entrance of the dungeon alone. It then waved the bone blades in its hands and cut off the iron chains in no time. It then kicked the door open, revealing the eerie dungeon passageway. Boom! When the door collapsed, Puppet Whitey withdrew its bone blades and quietly retreated to the side, as if it was waiting for Fei Ren's next instructions. Nothing out of the ordinary happened throughout the entire process. The entire process was clean and efficient. As for the power of the formation that Fei Ren was initially wary of, it did not activate. It was as if there was no ancient formation in this dungeon. Nothing? Fei Ren reached out and scratched his face. Was it my imagination? However, the strange aura that shrouded the entrance of the dungeon was still there. This made Fei Ren even more suspicious. Even if his intuition was wrong, the resonance from the immortal refining divine cauldron in his dantian would not be wrong. This place was still a little strange. Brother Fei, there doesn't seem to be any danger. Let's go in and save people first. Beside him, He Hanqing also opened his mouth. His face was still a little bewildered. At first, he also thought that He Zhenwu was trapped in a formation in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. Moreover, this formation was in the dungeon in front of him. Now, it seemed that this was not the case. Brother, you seem to have gotten false information again. There is no formation in this place. Not to mention, people, you can't even see a bug, he Lily complained. He Hanqing's face was a little embarrassed. Let's not talk about this first. Let's go. As his voice fell, he also leaped into the deep dungeon. In the next moment, Fei Ren and He Lily hurriedly followed. As for the puppet Little White, it was once again stored in Fei Ren's spirit ring to be used in a surprise attack. After all, a puppet whose strength was comparable to a human mystique venerable rank expert was rare. Deep in the dungeon, rumble. As soon as Fei Ren and the others stepped into one of the slightly larger cells, a loud bang came from the gate beside them. Swoosh! In the next moment, a cold wind blew as several black shadows flew toward the three of them. Be careful! Faerun narrowed his eyes. An overlord Mageweth appeared on his left arm. At the same time, he threw a punch at the black shadows. Bam! Crack, crack! The sound of a heavy collision rang out. In the next moment, the black shadows were sent flying by Faerun's punch. They fell to the ground and broke into two halves on the spot. There was a series of mechanical sounds as they revealed their true appearance. Crack, crack, crack. The black shadows were not big. They were only half the height of a person. They were shaped like a bird with an ink-like head. Their entire body was covered in brownish-yellow joints and mechanical parts. They looked like a finely carved wooden bird that had been born with intelligence. Similar to this wooden bird, there were more than 10 black shadows that attacked Fae, Run, and the others. At the moment, they surrounded the three of them in the cell and emitted a strong sense of hostility. This is a puppet. Seeing the true appearance of the black shadows that attacked them, Faerun was slightly surprised. Why did this thing look similar to the puppet Little White in his hands? However, the mechanical wooden bird before him was slightly weaker. It was only at the Martial King realm. He could easily kill it. It's not a puppet. It's a mechanical beast. Han Qing, who was beside him, said, I didn't expect that after the ancient weapon refining sect was destroyed so many years ago, this thing still exists. Although the mechanical wooden bird before him was exquisitely made and looked similar to the puppet Little White in Faerun's hands, its strength was much weaker. At the same time, it was not a puppet. It was a Mahist mechanical beast that was unique to the Mahist branch. As for the Mahist branch, they were the rulers of the ancient weapon refining sect. The sect masters of the ancient weapon refining sect were all descendants of the Mahist branch. They were proficient in weapon refining and mechanical beast craftsmanship. Everyone respectfully called them Mozi. However, following the destruction of the ancient weapon refining sect, the Mahist branch, along with the mechanical beast craftsmanship in their hands, were also lost. There were no traces left behind. Han Qing only knew a little about these rumors from the ancestral teachings left behind by his family. Therefore, when he saw the Mahist mechanical beast reappear, he was very surprised. It was as if the explorer Columbus had discovered a new continent in North America. There's a group of Mahist mechanical wooden birds guarding this dungeon. If that's the case, Father is most likely trapped by these things, Han Qing thought to himself. Chapter 677. Ka ka ka. At this moment, the mechanical wooden birds attacked again. There were more than 10 of them, and they seemed to be covering the sky. Swoosh! One of the larger mechanical wooden birds opened its sharp wooden beak and pounced towards Lily, who was behind it. Pure Yang 9 Flames technique. Facing the incoming danger, Lily's heart skipped a beat. She immediately leaped to the side and dodged the attack of the mechanical wooden bird. At the same time, she struck out with her palm. Swoosh! Rumble! The palm energy swept across. Origin energy and flames danced in the air and instantly turned into a red ribbon. It devoured the mechanical wooden bird completely and turned it into charred powder on the ground. Instant kill in one move. Lily's origin energy cultivation was not very high. It was only at LV6 Martial King realm. However, she also cultivated the Heaven-class middle-level skill, Pure Yang 9 Flames technique, which was passed down in the family of the He family in Tianfeng City. Although her Pure Yang 9 Flames technique was not as good as her brother Han Qing's, it was more than enough to deal with the Mo family's mechanical beasts that were only at the Martial King realm. Sister, are you okay? Han Qing also repelled the siege of a few mechanical wooden birds. He leaped and came to the front of the other party. Brother, I'm fine. Lily nodded, indicating that she was fine. These mechanical wooden birds don't seem to be very strong, and they don't have intelligence. They are probably the guards of this dungeon. That's why we were attacked by them. Hearing this, Han Qing did not speak. He was deep in thought. Although what she said was similar to what he had guessed at the beginning, according to the ancestral teachings left behind by the He family's ancestors, the ancient weapon refining sect that was famous in the northern continent had a strong foundation. The MO family's mechanical beasts were naturally not that simple. The mechanical wooden birds that attacked them were only the lowest level of the MO family's mechanical beasts. They were the work of the disciples and were pitifully weak. Compared to the high-level mechanical beasts that were made by the elders of the sect, or even the masters of the MO family, they were nothing. Sister, we can't be careless. There are probably more powerful mechanical beasts in the depths of this dungeon. Thinking of this, Hihanshin cautiously said in a low voice, "Boom! Crack!" On the other side, Feiren also slashed the star-shattering blade in his hand towards the ground. In an instant, a sky-blue, earth-shattering blade, Chi, slashed out, shattering all the remaining mechanical wooden birds around the cell into dust. The scene was a mess. Although these mechanical wooden birds were of excellent workmanship and belonged to the lost Mahis mechanical beasts, Feiren had no intention of collecting them. Therefore, these mechanical beasts were only refined by the ordinary disciples of the ancient crafting school. They were too weak to be of any help to him. They were not even as useful as Little White's fingers. Unless it was an elder-level figure of the ancient weapon refining sect, or a mighty figure like the great son of Embark, then who personally refined the MO family's mechanical beasts. Only then would they be able to catch Feiren's eyes. And Feiren turned his head to look at the other exit of the cell. He swung the star-shattering saber in front of him again. Trouble follows trouble as soon as it subsides. He originally thought that the guards of this dungeon were just a bunch of weak mechanical wooden birds. Now, it seemed that he was too naive. "Brother Fei, be careful. It's coming again." Hihanshin's warning came from the side. Feiren's face was solemn. The origin power in his body circulated again. At the same time, lines of Overlord Devil runes appeared around his body. Boom! Rumble! Accompanied by a thunderous explosion, a large number of black shadows swarmed in from all directions and charged into the cell. Crack, crack! Mechanical wooden birds with spirit tigers, skywood eagles, Mahis black bears, black tortoise, and vermilion bird, powerful Mahis mechanical beasts charged in one after another. Among them, there was no lack of high-level mechanical beasts that were comparable to human mystique, venerable realm martial artists. In an instant, they had surrounded Feiren and the other two. Even though the area of the prison cell beneath their feet was very large and was the size of 2 soccer fields, when more than 100 Mahis mechanical beasts charged in, and they were all high-grade mechanical beasts at that, this formation and momentum was still too shocking. Almost instantly, the Mahis mechanical beasts filled the entire cell, and there was no way to retreat. Damn it, so many mechanical beasts. Seeing this, Feiren's eyelids twitched and his face turned ugly. There were many Mahis mechanical beasts in the cell. At a rough glance, there were at least hundreds of them. Although his origin power cultivation had reached LV8 Martial King realm, and he had many trump cards, his overall strength was comparable to a LV3 Mystique Venerable Realm Martial Artist. However, there was a time when his origin power would be exhausted. Even with the help of Puppet Whitey, it would not be easy to fight his way out of the encirclement. Therefore, fighting head-on was not the best plan. He had to find another way. "Brother Miss Lily, there are hundreds of Mahis mechanical beasts. This time, our situation is not good. I'm afraid we're going to die here," Feiren said self-deprecatingly. "TSK, you're still in the mood to joke at a time like this." Lily glared at Feiren and pursed her lips. Her face was filled with worry. After all, the Mahis mechanical beasts in the cell were not like the mechanical wooden birds that attacked them earlier. Not only were there more of them, but they were also stronger. Most of them were high-level mechanical beasts. Mechanical beasts such as the heavenly wood eagle, black tortoise, and vermilion bird were all high-level mechanical beasts. Ordinary ancient weapon refining sect disciples would not be able to refine them. Most of them were made by the sect elders. Compared to these high-level mechanical beasts, the mechanical wooden birds earlier were a pile of trash and could not be compared to them. Actually, although these Mahis mechanical beasts are strong, they all have corresponding weaknesses. It's not like we don't have any countermeasures. Hihanshin, who had not spoken for a long time, spoke again with a serious face. Is that true? Really? Fei Ren was a little surprised, but Yi Hanqing's tone was very confident. However, at this critical moment, perhaps because he was too nervous and scared, he could not remember what the weaknesses of these Mahis mechanical beasts were. Damn it! What is it again? Why can't I remember? Yi Hanqing's brain spun quickly. At the same time, beads of sweat dripped down from his forehead. His face was serious. He vaguely remembered that in the ancestral teachings left behind by his ancestors, although the Mahis mechanical beasts were strong, there were also ways to counter and break them. There's no way, seeing that Yi Hanqing could not remember at first. Fei Ren also shook his head. Scram! Fei Ren swung his blade and forced a few Mahis mechanical beasts to retreat. At the same time, he took out the puppet Little White from the spirit ring and protected the He siblings behind him. Clang! Clang! Crack, crack, crack! The puppet Little White had just appeared when it combined the two bone blades in its hands into one, after which it swung it toward the sky. It was like a large rotating sharp blade windmill that instantly shattered dozens of MO clan mechanical beasts that were attacking. It was extremely domineering in an instant. At the moment, Fei Ren could only buy some time for Yi Hanqing and delay these aggressive Mahis mechanical beasts until the other party found a way to break these Mahis mechanical beasts. Chapter 678. Rumble. Loud bangs resounded one after another. Just when Fei Ren and Whitey were in the midst of a fierce battle, another enormous skydome would eagle charged over from the side. The Skywood Eagle was a high-level Mahist mechanical beast. Its overall strength was far superior to the mechanical wooden bird from before. It was comparable to a rank 1 mystique venerable realm warrior. Moreover, its target was none other than He Lily, who was hiding in the corner of the cell. After all, among the three of them, apart from Whitey, He Lily's cultivation was the weakest. Although these Mahis mechanical beasts did not have intelligence, they could sense that she had the weakest origin energy and was the easiest to deal with. Sister, watch out! When Yi Hanqing saw the heavenly wood eagle pouncing towards He Lily, he calmed himself down and cried out in alarm. Swoosh! In the next moment, Yi Hanqing dashed in the direction of his opponent. At the same time, origin energy surged around his body and burst out into balls of blazing red flames, forcing the Skywood Eagle's attack to retreat. Rumble! Beep! A huge collision sound rang out. In the next moment, the heavenly wood eagle flapped its wings and retreated, landing steadily at the back. At this moment, it was glaring at the He siblings like a tiger watching its prey. Its beast eyes, which were made of wooden beads, flickered with a dangerous and ominous glint. Boom! The flames gradually extinguished and the origin energy dispersed. At the same time, Yi Hanqing's slightly pale face was revealed. He gritted his teeth and clutched his empty left sleeve. He seemed to be in pain. Before he entered the dungeon, his left arm was crippled by the miasma and his strength was greatly reduced. Although Yi Hanqing was a half-step mystique venerable realm warrior, the loss of an arm had a great impact on a warrior. It was difficult for him to unleash his full strength. Therefore, in the fight with the Skywood Eagle, he had suffered a small loss and caused his old injury to relapse. Finally made it. Although his old injury had relapsed, Yi Hanqing heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that He Lily was fine. In the family, other than his father, the person closest to him was his sister, He Lily. She was his reverse scale, and he would not allow anyone to hurt her. Brother, are you all right? He Lily leaned in front of Yi Hanqing as well. She looked worriedly at Yi Hanqing's left sleeve. When she saw that his broken arm and old wounds were still there, she couldn't help but sob. Brother, it's all my fault. I'm so useless. Previously, in order to save her, she had already lost an arm. Now, she was dragging the team down, causing Yi Hanqing to be in danger again. Therefore, He Lily blamed herself in her heart. Silly girl, what nonsense are you spouting? Seeing this, Yi Hanqing frowned and knocked on his head. I'm your brother. It's my duty to protect you. Do you remember what I said to you when you were young? Ah. He Lily wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. She was at a loss. Brother, what is it? Hanqing laughed helplessly. Of course, it's to take good care of you on behalf of my late mother. As your big brother, I can't let you get hurt before you find a man you like. This is also our promise when we were young. Brother, why are you suddenly saying this? Hearing this, Lily was stunned for a moment. Then, she secretly glanced at Fei Run, who was in a bitter battle not far away. In the next moment, she quickly retracted her gaze, and her face instantly turned red. I'm afraid that this girl has fallen for Brother Fei. This scene naturally fell into Hanqing's eyes, causing him to shake his head. It wasn't that he didn't like Fei Run. On the contrary, Hanqing was afraid that Fei Run wouldn't like his own sister. After all, with the other party's talent and comprehension, as well as the terrifying strength he displayed, there was a high chance that he was a martial arts prodigy from a large sect. Their family was only a small fifth-rank family in the Imperial Pit, and it was very likely that they wouldn't be able to reach him. On the other side, the fierce battle continued. The puppet Whitey alone was entangled by dozens of wood spirit tigers, dozens of mechanical wooden birds, and a black tortoise vermilion bird mechanical beast that was clumsy in speed but had astonishing defensive power. For a moment, the battle was locked in a stalemate. On the other hand, the situation on Fei Ren's side wasn't too optimistic either. He was also heavily surrounded by dozens of high-grade Mahis mechanical beasts. There were enemies all around him, and it was very difficult for him to free himself to protect the siblings, let alone escape. Swoosh! Boom! With a single slash, he sent several wood spirit tigers flying, shattering their fangs and mechanisms. Fei Ren also took the initiative to retreat to the edge of the cell, turning his head to look at the siblings who were not far away. Are the two of you all right? Although Fei Ren and the puppet Little White blocked most of the attacking MO clan mechanical beasts, there were still a few fish that escaped the net and avoided him. They turned to attack the siblings behind him, causing him a headache. Brother Fei, we're fine. Hanqing nodded, indicating that he was fine. Just a moment ago, he finally recalled some of the methods to break the MO clan mechanical beasts that were left behind by the He clan's old ancestor. Thank goodness. Seeing that the two of them were fine, Fei Run heaved a sigh of relief in his heart, but his face was still grave. Why are there more and more of these mechanical beasts? Could it be that they have the ability to repair themselves? Just a moment ago, Fei Ren also noticed some abnormalities. The army of mechanical beasts in front of him seemed to have the ability to revive infinitely, even though most of the high-level mechanical beasts had already been destroyed by him and the puppet Little White. However, the army of mechanical beasts attacking from all sides of the cell did not show any signs of decreasing and were still overwhelming. Crack, crack! On the ground beside him, the wood spirit tiger that had been chopped into pieces by Fei Ren suddenly stood up again, letting out a strange mechanical collision sound. At the same time, it drooped its broken mechanical head, which was extremely strange. Buzz, buzz, buzz! In the next moment, the chest of the cumbersome black tortoise vermilion bird at the back also emitted a faint and deep black glow, enveloping the severely damaged wood spirit tiger within it. After a few breaths, it actually recovered to its original state. Damn it! This group of mechanical beasts really do have the ability to revive. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren also secretly cursed. Previously, he was only concerned about how to repel the siege of this group of mechanical beasts and had neglected the fact that they could revive themselves. Looks like I can only continue to stall for time. Brute force alone is unable to deal with this group of MO clan mechanical beasts in front of me. Glancing at the He clan's brother and sister behind him, Fei Ren's hand held the star-shattering blade tightly, and his face was grave. As the saying goes, if the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. Currently, only the He clan's brother and sister knew how to deal with this group of MO clan mechanical beasts in front of them. If the other party died, Fei Ren himself would also most likely die. No matter how strong he was, he would not be able to fight against this endless army of mechanical beasts that did not know fear of death. Brother Fei, I have an idea. Just as Fei Ren was about to attack again, He Hanqing's somewhat excited voice sounded from behind him. What? Fei Ren turned around to look, only to see He Hanqing stretch out his hand and point at the center of the Mo clan mechanical beast army, shouting loudly, "It's there." The secret to dealing with these mechanical beasts is hidden on that cumbersome and incomparably huge black tortoise vermilion bird. This thing is the core of the entire mechanical beast army, and its chest is inlaid with a piece of ink magic stone with powerful spiritual chi and boundless energy. The ink magic stone is a kind of rare stone that contains powerful spiritual chi energy. As long as that piece of ink magic stone is removed, not to mention this black tortoise vermilion bird in front of us, even the top-grade mechanical beast that the Mo clan's master personally refined in the past would be reduced to scrap metal. Moreover, they would not be able to revive themselves. At this point, He Hanqing's voice was powerful, and his face was filled with determination. Chapter 679. Ink Magic Stone. So it's this thing that's supporting these Mahis mechanical beasts' movements and reviving time and time again. Fei Ren was enlightened. The next moment, his gaze followed the direction that He Hanqing was pointing at. He saw that the black tortoise vermilion bird mechanical beast was being protected by many of its kind. On its chest was an ink magic stone that flickered with black light. It was the energy core that supported its movements. Furthermore, the reason why the mechanical beasts that had been defeated by Fei Ren and Little White were able to revive was also because of the ink magic stone on their chests. The ink magic stone that contained boundless spirit chi could quickly repair these high-level mechanical beasts. As long as we destroy that ink magic stone, these Mahis mechanical beasts will be defeated without a fight, Fei Ren said without turning his head. He gripped the star-shattering blade in his hand tightly. The next moment, his dantian once again exploded with an extremely powerful spirit chi wave. Strands of white, profound aura formed from pure energy enveloped Fei Ren's entire body, projecting an afterimage, as if an overlord had appeared. That powerful aura also caused those Mahis mechanical beasts that had already been revived to retreat, not daring to approach. Yes, He Hanqing nodded and said, other than destroying them, remove the ink magic stone that provides energy from the black tortoise vermilion bird's chest. These mechanical beasts will also stop moving and turn into scrap metal. Brother Fei, this thing is a rare natural stone. It contains a huge amount of spirit chi. The other party's tone was passionate, as if he was implying something. Fei Ren retracted his gaze. He understood He Hanqing's meaning. If that's the case, then I won't hold back. Coincidentally, Puppet Little White's evolution had reached a critical bottleneck. It was half a step away from transforming into a human. It was still one step away from transforming into a human and gaining sentience. He needed an opportunity to help Puppet Little White complete its transformation. Right now, if he could obtain an ink magic stone, Puppet Little White would have a chance to complete its evolution and become a real human. After all, like the spirit chi bone, the ink magic stone also contained boundless spirit chi. Otherwise, it would not be able to support hundreds of Mahis mechanical beast movements and continuous revival. Star Source Slash. Break. Fei Ren's face was cold as he slashed out with the star-breaking blade in his hand. Zong. Boom. In an instant, Yuan power swept out. It was accompanied by a sky-blue, dazzling light that cut through the empty space. Countless sharp blade glows also shot out. There were just like 10,000 arrows that were shot together, attacking the many mechanical beasts opposite the prison cell. In an instant, the terrifying saber light attack enveloped the entire area. Bang! Crack! Crack! Wherever the blade glow passed, it was a complete mess. Other than a small number of high-grade mechanical beasts like the wood spirit tiger and the sky-wood eagle, most of the mechanical beasts were also swallowed by the remaining power of the blade glow. They shattered on the spot and turned into dust. The might of Fei Ren's saber had almost wiped out 1/3 of the mahest mechanical beasts in the prison. However, this was far from enough. His plan was to defeat all the mechanical beasts in front of him in one fell swoop, and then drag out the black tortoise vermilion burr mechanical beast that was hiding in the deepest part. At the same time, he would take the ink magic stone and end the battle once and for all. Brother Miss Lily, the two of you step back first. The power of the Overlord demonic tattoo in his body had been completely exhausted. Fei Rin's eyes had turned completely dark purple, and strange purple runes appeared on the surface of his skin. His aura soared, and his long hair danced in the wind. He looked like a god that had descended to the mortal world. After his Yuan power cultivation had broken through to level 8 Martial King realm, the number of Overlord demonic tattoo that he could condense had increased significantly. He could store a maximum of 50 Overlord demonic tattoo. This was a total of 15 more Overlord demonic tattoo than before. To Fei Ren, the more Overlord demonic tattoo there were, the more powerful the martial arts that he could use would be. Unlimited growth. This was the power of the divine grade martial skill, record of the Overlord of Western Shu. What a powerful Yuan power aura. It is no weaker than level 2 Mystic Sovereign Realm. When he saw this scene, He Hanqing's face changed slightly, and a strong sense of shock surged in his heart. Was this the true strength of the other party? Compared to Fei Run in front of him, even he, the young master of the He clan in Tianfeng City, paled in comparison. His opponent was the true genius of the martial way. He was like the scorching sun in the sky, and He Hanqing was an insignificant firefly. Sister, let's retreat. In order not to drag Fei Ren down, He Hanqing's figure flashed and retreated to the edge of the prison cell, trying his best to avoid the other party's attack. Boom! When she saw this, Lily followed closely behind. At the same time, she attacked a few low-grade mechanical beasts that were harassing them. Crack, crack! As if they had sensed that Fei Ren's aura was rising continuously, and that it was a serious threat to the black tortoise vermilion bird behind him. The remaining mechanical beasts in the prison cell gathered and protected the black tortoise vermilion bird behind them. It was as if they had formed a defensive array. You still want to protect this plaything and take the opportunity to revive the other mechanical beasts? When he saw this, Fei Ren's lips curled into a cold smile. However, can you stop me this time? Pooey. The power of the Overlord magic tattoo in his body completely erupted. Fei Ren opened his arms wide, and in the next moment, they turned into a fist. A heavy punch blasted out across the air and headed straight for the army of mechanical beasts. Overlord Tornado! As Fei Ren roared, a large amount of purple light swept out in all directions. It was mixed with a boundless fist force, and in an instant, it turned into numerous tornadoes. The tornadoes whistled endlessly, and as if they were alive, they tore through the air and emitted ear-piercing sonic booms. Chi, chi, chi. Rumble. A large number of purple tornadoes attacked from all directions, bringing with them ear-piercing and terrifying whistling sounds. In an instant, they swallowed the remaining mahest mechanical beasts. Even the hard limestone floor under everyone's feet was easily shattered by the purple tornadoes, unable to escape unscathed. This attack was not only Fei Ren's current strongest martial art, but had also consumed a total of 50 Overlord magic tattoo. Its power was comparable to a full force attack from a rank 2 Mystic Sovereign. Gotcha! The tornadoes gradually subsided, and the dust dispersed. The scene was in ruins, and the corpses and parts of the mechanical beasts could be seen everywhere. The originally huge black tortoise and vermilion bird mechanical beasts had lost both of their legs, and they were lying on the ground. Only the ink magic stone embedded in their chests was still shining brightly, emitting boundless spiritual energy waves. Clang! The star-shattering knife in his hand stabbed into the ground. Fei Ren's body staggered, and he almost fell to his knees. Has my body reached its limit? But it's finally over. Fei Ren's handsome face revealed a trace of fatigue as he panted heavily. He had already reached his limit and could not fight anymore. Although the power of the Overlord tornado was extraordinary, and even if hundreds of Mahis mechanical beasts worked together, it would still be difficult for them to withstand it. However, this move still required a total of 50 Overlord Mageweds, and the consumption of his physical strength, essence force, and Overlord Mageweds was still not small. Therefore, Fei Ren could only use Overlord Tornado once in a short period of time. Moreover, it took him a lot of time to condense the Overlord Magic Tattoo, so he could not use it frequently. Other than the Divine Refining Cauldron, this move was Fei Ren's strongest trump card. Chapter 680. Swoosh. After dealing with the Mahis mechanical beasts in the cell, Fei Ren sat down to meditate. At the same time, he took out a grade 9 pill from his spirit ring and consumed it, slowly recovering his origin energy and physical strength. Due to the existence of the Yin-Yang Dao technique, the Mahis mechanical beasts before him could not hurt him. Even if these Mahis mechanical beasts forced Fei Ren into a desperate situation, as long as he still had a breath left, he could use the Yin-Yang Dao technique to heal himself. This was the power of the Yin-Yang Dao technique at the perfect realm. The profundity of Taoist techniques and their power was above the concept. Not to mention that the Yin-Yang Taoist technique was at the consummate level. Although it was still unable to revive the dead, it was still very easy for Fei Ren to maintain his immortal body for a period of time. If I can further improve the Yin-Yang Dao technique and completely transform it into the law of Yin and Yang, my strength will increase by several times. Feeling the origin energy in his body gradually recovering, Fei Ren clenched his fists tightly as he thought to himself. The power of law was an evolution of Dao technique. Not only was it more mysterious, but it was also more powerful. However, it was not easy to comprehend the power of law. Even some mystique venerable realm experts could not get a glimpse of it. It was a great test of a martial artist's talent and comprehension. Only some powerful veteran mystique venerable realm martial artists could grasp a trace of the mysteries of the power of law. For example, the Thunder City Master, the Wild Thunder Venerable Troy, and the Dragon Snake Old Man who hosted the Imperial Kung Ancient City Auction. These high-level mystique venerable realm experts basically grasped a trace of the power of law. I'll kindly accept the ink magic stone. Getting up, Fei Ren walked to the destroyed black tortoise vermilion bird mechanical beast. He reached out and took the ink magic stone embedded in its chest. He looked pleased. With this ink magic stone, it would not be a problem for Little White to completely evolve into a human. Crack! Just as Fei Ren took the ink magic stone, something unexpected happened. Boom! He saw an aggressive sky-wood eagle that had lost half of its wings pounce towards him once again. Its sharp beak directly bit towards the vital point of the opponent's face. Its speed was extremely fast, and its attack was piercingly cold. If this attack hit, Fei Ren's head would probably be bitten off on the spot. His head would be separated from his body. There are still survivors? Facing the sneak attack from behind, Fei Ren was stunned. This sky-wood eagle, which was close to being crippled, seemed to be a fish that had slipped through the net. It was not crushed by the tyrant tornado on the spot. At first, Fei Ren did not notice it. His attention was focused on the rare and precious ink magic stone. You're courting death. With a cold snort, Fei Ren flipped his hand and grasped the star-shattering blade on his back. However, before he could make a move, the nearby puppet Whitey had already pounced over and swung its enormous bone blade to hack the sky dome, wood eagle flying. Bang! Crack! The heavenly wood eagle heavily smashed into the ground. It picked up the billowing dust and at the same time turned into fragments all over the ground. Its parts were scattered all over the ground. Obviously, it had been completely scrapped and could no longer move. Prison cell, not far away. The puppet was protecting its master. Seeing this scene, He Hanqing was also stunned for a moment. Then a look of envy appeared on his face. Obviously, with Whitey's current performance and ability, it was not far from transforming into a true human form. It only needed an opportunity. It was enough to see that Fei Rin's background was extraordinary. After all, not just any cat or dog could have a puppet comparable to a mystique venerable realm expert as a personal bodyguard. Moreover, it was also loyal and would not betray him. Thanks, Whitey. Seeing that the puppet Whitey had suddenly helped him deal with the sneak attack of the Skywood Eagle, Fei Rin's hand loosened. He put down the star-shattering blade on his back and grinned. As its strength continued to increase, the puppet Whitey's ability also became stronger and stronger. It was also gradually becoming human-like. Even without Fei Rin's orders, as long as anyone threatened him, the puppet Whitey would strike like lightning and mercilessly destroy the enemy. In the face of Fei Rin's praise, the puppet Whitey only nodded mechanically. A trace of confusion appeared in its empty and dark eyes. It seemed to have understood the other party's meaning, but not completely. It had begun to take on a human form, but its spiritual intelligence had not yet developed. It only produced a trace of instinctive reaction. This was the puppet Whitey's current state. Gotcha! Fei Rin placed the ink magic stone back into the puppet Whitey's chest. The next moment, he also put it back into the spirit ring space. He turned his head and looked at the He family's brother and sister, not far away. Brother He, Miss Lily, let's go. After all, the puppet Whitey still needed some time to completely absorb the spiritual energy of the ink magic stone. Now that He Junwu was still trapped in the depths of the prison, saving him was more important. Fei Rin's figure flashed and disappeared from the prison cell. Seeing this, the He family's brother and sister followed closely behind. At the end of the prison was a huge and empty secret room. It was dark and cold all around. Patter. This is a formation. As soon as he stepped into the secret room, Fei Rin was shocked by the scene in front of him. 12 gigantic bronze beast heads stood majestically in the four corners of the secret chamber. Their auras were magnificent. Between each bronze beast head were horns that were interlocked layer by layer. They exuded a powerful and mysterious aura, as if they were a natural and mysterious array. It was quite strange. In the middle of the secret room, at the intersection of the 12 bronze beast heads, a middle-aged man was lying quietly on the ground. The middle-aged man's aura was weak, his body was covered in injuries, and his black robe was tattered. He looked extremely miserable, and it seemed like he didn't even have the strength to stand up. At this moment, he couldn't help but spit out blood, his face pale. Father! At this time, He Hanqing also rushed over. When he saw the middle-aged man in the black robe covered in injuries, he immediately let out a cry of surprise. The other party was none other than the He family's patriarch, He Junwu, who had been missing for a long time. Father! Seeing He Junwu covered in injuries and lying motionless on the ground, He Lily also covered her mouth and exclaimed, tears appearing at the corner of her eyes. Hanqing, Lily, why are the two of you here? He Junwu turned his head with difficulty and saw that it was He Hanqing and He Lily, the two siblings. He was stunned for a moment, and then a trace of worry appeared on his pale face. This is the hinterland of the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, and there's a powerful array around it. It's very dangerous. You two hurry up and leave. As a mystique venerable rank expert, He Junwu knew very well how powerful this mysterious formation that trapped him was. Therefore, he couldn't bear to see his son and daughter put themselves in danger, or even lose their lives for it. Father, just you wait. Sister and I are coming to save you. Father, we're coming to save you. However, He Hanqing and He Lily obviously didn't take He Junwu's advice to heart. It was as if they had lost their basic rationality in their eagerness to save their father. Don't come over. He Junwu's expression changed slightly. Wait. Just as the two of them were about to approach the 12 bronze beast heads, Fei Rin's figure flashed, and he moved to block the He clan siblings. Do the two of you have a death wish? With your cultivation base and strength, only death awaits you if you recklessly barge into this formation. Fei Rin turned around and glanced at the two of them with a serious expression. The ancient formation that trapped He Junwu was called the 12 Zodiac Formation. It was an ancient formation that had been lost in history. Once this formation was set up, It would create countless killing formations, defensive formations, and illusory formations. The 12 ancient bronze beast heads were the core formation eyes of the 12 zodiac formation. The 12 zodiac formation usually had 12 core formation eyes: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. Each formation eye had its own unique power. As long as the core formation eyes were not broken, the 12 zodiac formation would continue to stack up layer by layer. Even a veteran mystique venerable rank expert like He Jinwoo would find it difficult to escape. He might even lose his life. Chapter 681. 12 Zodiac Formation. He Hanqing was stunned. His face was filled with astonishment and shock. What kind of formation was that? As the young master of the He family in Tianfeng City, he had never heard of it. This young man is right. He Jinwoo's weak voice came from afar. This formation is called the 12 Zodiac Formation and is an authentic honorable rank formation. It's an advanced honorable rank formation and can trap a mystique venerable rank expert. Although the formation has lost half of its power due to the passage of time, it's still very powerful. He Jinwoo panted heavily as he said with a tired expression. He was a level 4 mystique venerable rank expert and was considered a hero around the Emperor's Pit. However, the 12 Zodiac Formation was an advanced honorable rank formation. Even with He Jinwoo's level 4 mystique venerable rank cultivation base, he could not break free. "Father, what should we do?" He Lily pursed her lips and said anxiously. "No matter what, brother and I have to save you." He Jinwoo sighed and said, "Lily, I understand how the two of you feel. However, this exalted rank grand formation isn't so easy to break. Even though the 12 Zodiac Formation has lost half of its power, if you don't have strong mind power to support it and are familiar with the formation's operating pattern, you might lose your life if you try to break it." At this point, the He siblings looked at each other and fell silent. Obviously, they did not know how to break the formation either. Damn it! He Hanqing clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. They had finally broken out of the encirclement and arrived at the core of the ancient weapon refining sect ruins. They had also found He Jinwoo, who had been missing for a long time, but they were stopped by an honorable rank formation. They were not happy about it. Although the 12 Zodiac Great Formation is a high honorable formation, it is extremely powerful and its layers are interlocked. However, the precondition is that the energy of the 12 formation eyes is still present. Currently, the formation has lost a great deal of its energy and it cannot be considered a complete high honorable formation. Fei Run, who had not spoken for a long time, said calmly, "To be precise, the 12 Zodiac Formation is only at the heaven rank. It's far from." This young man was not simple. As soon as he finished speaking, He Jinwoo's eyes lit up. In the next moment, a solemn expression appeared on his pale face. "Little brother, why do you say that?" In fact, from the very beginning, he could tell that the 12 Zodiac Grand Array in front of him was not as powerful as before. It was about the same as an ordinary heaven rank array. However, He Jinwoo's elemental energy had been greatly depleted as he ventured deep into the ruins of the ancient crafting sect. He was no longer at his peak condition. Coupled with his carelessness, he was now trapped in the array and unable to escape. If He Jinwoo had been at his peak, the 12 Zodiac Grand Formation would not have been able to trap him here. It's simple. There were 12 bronze beast heads over there, but there are only 5 bronze beast heads left that still have spiritual chi fluctuations. This means that the formation's power has been severely depleted. There's less than a tenth of it left. Fei Ren hit the nail on the head. His gaze fell on the center of the formation, not far away. The He siblings also looked in the direction of the other party's gaze. They saw that most of the 12 bronze beast heads had lost their spiritual chi fluctuations. They were dim and lifeless, like dilapidated antiques. Only 5 bronze beast heads were still emitting bits of light. They were filled with spiritual chi fluctuations and were still maintaining the operation of the Grand Array. 1, 2, 3, 5. He Lily counted with her fingers and said, "There's a total of 5 left. There's no mistake. Dragon, rat, cow, horse, tiger." He Hanqing nodded lightly. There are only 5 bronze beast heads left. As long as the spiritual chi within them was destroyed, the incomplete 12 zodiac grand array would collapse on its own. That's right. Fei Ren crossed his arms in front of his chest. He looked thoughtful. From the very beginning, he had a plan to break the array. However, it would be difficult for him to do it alone. If he wanted to successfully break the array, he would need the He siblings' help. "Little brother, you have a good eye. May I know your name and where are you from?" Seeing that Lin Fan had identified the weakness of the 12 zodiac grand array, He Jinwu probed. His tone was full of admiration. After all, Fei Ren's cultivation was at LV8 Martial King realm at such a young age. Moreover, he was well-versed in array Dao. Such a genius was rare and worthy of being recruited by the He family. Moreover, since he could come to the hinterland of the ancient weapon refining sect, his strength and background must be extraordinary. "Fei Ren, I'm just a rogue cultivator." Fei Ren nodded and did not say much. In the next moment, he turned to look at the He siblings and said, "Brother He, Miss Lily, I need you to help me break the array." "How?" the two of them asked in unison. "It's simple." Fei Ren pointed at the remaining 5 bronze beast heads and said slowly, "The tiger head and the bull head can be broken by force using origin power. These 2 are the easiest to deal with. However, to break the rat head and the horse head, you will need to use mental energy. Ordinary origin power attacks will not work on them. As for the dragon head, we don't need to do anything. This thing is enough." After saying that, Fei Ren took out a mechanical wooden bird from the spirit ring on his finger. This was a treasure that he had picked up in the dungeon by chance. Now it finally came in handy. Click, click, the mechanical wooden bird was lifelike. It was flapping its wings and beating on Fei Ren's left palm. It looked very intelligent. Mechanical wooden bird? He Hanqing was stunned. How did the other party get their hands on this thing? Could it be that there were still MO family mechanical beasts in the dungeon that he had not dealt with? Although he was full of doubts, the MO family mechanical beast in Fei Ren's hand was slightly different. Compared to the mechanical beasts in the dungeon, the mechanical wooden bird in his hand was not only smaller in size, but also seemed to be more intelligent. The last dragon head can only be broken with a unique mechanical art. Coincidentally, this MO family mechanical beast has such a use. Breaking the last bronze dragon head of the 12 zodiac formation is a piece of cake. Fei Ren's tone was confident as he released the mechanical wooden bird from his palm. "Do it." After releasing the mechanical wooden bird, Fei Ren flew toward the center of the formation. Seeing this, the He siblings did not dare to delay and followed closely behind. After a while, Fei Ren and the He siblings worked together to break the 12 zodiac formation. Boom! As the last bronze beast head was broken, the entire 12 zodiac formation collapsed and lost its power. "We did it!" Seeing the 12 zodiac formation collapse, and the remaining 5 bronze beast heads exploding and turning into wreckage, the He siblings were overjoyed and quickly flew forward. Swoosh! "Father, are you all right?" He Hanqing's expression was grave as he came to the frail and severely injured He Jinwu. "I'm fine. Don't worry, I won't die." He Jinwu glanced at him and waved his hand to indicate that he was fine. After all, the physique of a mystique venerable rank expert was abnormally strong and was not weaker than some martial artist who specialized in body refinement. He would not die so easily. "Father, you don't know. In the days that you were missing, the family was in chaos." The first elder's line was even more aggressive, saying that the He family cannot be without a leader for a day. They were clamoring to force Big Brother to give up his position as the He family's young master. He Lily went up to help He Jinwu up and said with a sobbing tone, "What?" Hearing this, He Jinwu was stunned for a moment before he flew into a rage. "Those old fogies! How dare they usurp power while I'm away? Why get back to Tianfeng City? I'll teach those old fogies a lesson." Cough, cough, cough. He Jinwu kept coughing up blood, as if his anger had caused his injuries to relapse. Although he was a level 4 mystique venerable rank expert, his body was weak and his injuries were severe. The slightest fluctuation in his emotions could easily worsen his injuries. He could only suppress his anger and focus on recuperating. Chapter 682. Senior, with your current condition, it's best if you don't get angry, Fei Rin said calmly. He could also tell that He Zhenjin was seriously injured. Thank you for saving me, little brother. Nodding his head, He Zhenwu calmed his anger. Soon after, he took out a small tattered pouch from his bosom and handed it over to Fei Rin. I obtained this item from the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. Today, I will give it to this little brother to repay you for saving my life. He opened the pouch and saw a sky-blue ancient jade pendant lying inside. The jade pendant had a strange shape like a sharp crescent hook. There was even a little bit of ink at the end. It was very beautiful. This is... Looking at the ancient jade pendant in He Zhenjin's hand, Fei Rin was a little surprised. This is called the Jade Annulus of He Clan. It's a precious jade made by combining several kinds of rare stones. It's also a support-type spirit treasure that can greatly increase a martial artist's mind power. He Zhenwu grinned and then slowly explained, Little brother, I saw that not only are you strong, but your mind power is also very strong. You seem to be an alchemist, so this Jade Annulus of He Clan is the most suitable gift for you. When he first broke the formation, he found that Fei Rin's mind power was very strong. It was not inferior to an ordinary level 9 alchemist. Among the 5 bronze beast heads of the 12 zodiac animals, the rat head and horse head needed to be broken by someone with strong mind power. He Hanqing and He Lily were not good at mind power cultivation, and he was only able to escape in the end because of Fei Rin's help. A support-type spirit treasure that can increase mind power? Fei Rin was surprised. It seemed that He Zhenjin's help was no different from sending charcoal in snowy weather. He was stuck between a level 9 alchemist and an earth alchemist. His mind power cultivation had not improved and could not break through. Now, with this Jade Annulus of He Clan, Fei Rin's psyche power would be greatly improved. He might even be able to make a breakthrough and step into the Earth Gate realm, becoming a famous Earth-grade alchemist. Thank you, Senior. Fei Rin reached out and took the Jade Annulus of He Clan. In the next moment, waves of majestic spirit chi emerged from his palm and filled his whole body. Spiritual chi infusion, wisdom infusion. In that instant, Fei Rin felt as if his entire being had entered the clear and clear mind realm. His perception had increased tremendously, and his mental power, which had been stagnant for a long time, had also begun to loosen up, charging straight towards the barrier of the Earth Gate realm. It is indeed a good treasure. Retracting his consciousness, Fei Rin was overjoyed. Previously, he had only casually probed the Jade Annulus, but the large amount of spiritual energy contained in it had swept over him, causing him to enter a temporary state of clear mind illumination. This was a nearly perfect state of cultivation. In the cultivation of martial arts, even those rare geniuses on the continent did not dare to guarantee that they would be able to enter the clear and clear state every time they cultivated. Of course, I obtained this treasure from the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. No one has set foot in this place for thousands of years. If it weren't for the guidance of my family's ancestors, even I wouldn't have been able to enter this place. You can imagine the treasures and opportunities left behind in this place. It's not as simple as the Jade Annulus of He Clan. He Zhenwu smiled again and said, Little brother Fei Rin, you saved my life this time. Compared to my life, these treasures are nothing. He Zhenwu sat cross-legged on the ground and began to heal his injuries. Senior, you are too kind. Fei Rin put away the Jade Annulus of He Clan in his hand and said humbly, now that the He family had changed internally and the Grand Elder's family was plotting against him, he probably would not be able to get the benefits that the He siblings had promised him. However, with the opportunities in front of him, this trip to the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect was already worth it. Now, Faerun was thinking about how he could leave the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect and see the light of day again. There should be a teleportation formation to leave the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect here. Faerun sized up the ruins of the palace in front of him and found that it was empty. Other than the destroyed 12 zodiac formation, the scattered fragments of the beast heads, and the ancient murals on the walls, there was nothing else. He did not see any treasures, nor was there an exit. Could it be that I have to go back the way I came? Faerun thought to himself. At this time, He Zhenwu's injuries were almost healed, and he stood up with the help of the He siblings. Little brother Faerun. He Zhenwu's determined face regained some color. Faerun, thank you for saving my father. He Lily pursed her lips and said obediently, You're welcome. I was paid to help. Faerun nodded. Senior, since this is the core area of the ancient weapon refining sect, there should be a sect treasury left behind. Also, I have looked around, and there seems to be no exit or teleportation formation here. Faerun probed as he looked at He Zhenwu, who was standing opposite him. He was the current head of the He family, and he knew some secrets about the ancient weapon refining sect. Therefore, only He Zhenwu knew how to find the sect treasury of the ancient weapon refining sect and how to leave this place. I have taken most of the treasures in the outer area. He Zhenwu showed the storage bag and spirit ring tied to his waist. It was filled to the brim with treasures left behind by the ancient crafting school. There were herbs, primal stones, pill blueprints, spell formations, furnaces, and everything else. However, most of the treasures were of limited value. The truly valuable treasures were not in the hall, but were hidden in the shadows. These treasures are of average value. The jade annulus of a clan in your hand is considered a rare item. As for the hidden sect treasury of the ancient weapon refining sect, I have not found it yet, He Zhenwu said slowly. Hearing this, Faerun's face showed a trace of regret. What a pity! If he could find the hidden sect treasury of the ancient weapon refining sect, it would be a great opportunity. When he saw the change in the other party's expression, He Zhenwu smiled again as he opened his mouth and said, Little brother Faerun, you need not be too discouraged. Although I do not know the exact location of the ancient weapon refining sect treasury, I do have some clues. Oh, Senior, please tell me. Hearing this, Faerun's spirit was lifted, and he was eager to try. Now that he had some clues, it was better than wandering around like a headless fly. Father, what clues? He Lily also looked over curiously. Father, I remember that in the words left behind by the ancestors, there was no mention of the ancient weapon refining sect treasury. Could it be just a rumor? He Hanqing was puzzled. No. Although the ancestral teachings didn't mention this, the news about the ancient weapon refining sect treasury is true. I heard this news from another place. He Zhenwu looked at the two of them meaningfully and smiled helplessly. Otherwise, I would not have taken such a big risk and stepped into the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect alone. I almost lost my life because of it. Just like little brother Faerun, my goal was to find the treasury of the ancient weapon refining sect. Chapter 683. The ancient weapon refining sect was, after all, a famous sect in the northern continent. There were countless treasures and opportunities left behind. The treasures in He Zhenwu's hands were just a drop in the ocean. Senior, could it be that the clues to open the ancient weapon refining sect's treasury are hidden in the murals on the walls? Seeing that the other party had been staring at the ancient murals, Faerun seemed to have thought of something and had an idea. That's right. He Zhenwu nodded. The other party's observation skills were indeed not simple. He had discovered the mystery of the palace in front of him so quickly. According to the clues I've heard, the ancient murals on the walls contain the key to opening the treasures left behind by the ancient weapon refining sect. Not only that, the murals should also record the exit of the ancient weapon refining sect. He Zhenwu said slowly. His gaze was always on the murals. As expected, hearing this, Faerun had a look of realization. No wonder he couldn't find the exit of the ruins and the teleportation formation to leave this place. It turned out that all these secrets were hidden in the ancient murals around the palace. From the looks of it, as long as they could decipher these ancient murals, the treasures left behind by the ancient weapon refining sect would be at their fingertips. Moreover, they would be able to leave this place safely. "Father, what should we do then?" He Hanqing stepped forward and asked. Father, the ancient murals seem to be blocked by an invisible force. Ordinary martial artists can't touch them. Lily's surprised voice came from the side. Pop! Her jade-like hand gently reached out and touched the ancient murals on the walls of the palace. The next moment, her entire body was bounced back by an invisible force, and she almost fell to the ground. So dangerous! Lily reached out and patted her voluptuous chest. Her face was full of fear. Her jade-like hand was scraped, and traces of blood could be seen. "Sister, why were you so impulsive?" Seeing this scene, He Hanqing's face was also full of worry. He hurriedly went forward to steady her. The ancient murals in front of them didn't seem to have a powerful offensive formation. It was different from the 12 zodiac formation that protected the palace. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as simple as a light injury. There's a barrier on top of it. Fei Ren's gaze looked up and down at the ancient murals on the wall and said firmly, "Barrier?" The He siblings looked at each other in astonishment. It's different from ordinary formations. Although the power of the barrier can prevent outsiders from entering, it's usually a passive defensive formation. It's very different from the active offensive killing formation and the illusion formation that confuses the enemy, He Jinwu said indifferently. His tone was calm, but his gaze was vicious. As a veteran Mystique venerable rank fighter and the head of the He clan in Tianfeng City, he naturally knew a thing or two about barriers. "Hanqing, Lily, you two can leave for now." He Jinwu took a deep breath and came before the mural. After this period of recuperation, his internal injuries had mostly recovered. His strength had also returned to about 80% of his peak condition. After all, he still had the foundation of a Mystique venerable realm warrior. The power of this barrier is very strong. I'm afraid ordinary elemental force won't be able to break it. He Jinwu's face was solemn. Senior is right. If we want to break the barrier on top of the mural, we'll need an extremely strong mind power. Fei Ren looked thoughtful and turned to look at He Jinwu. "Little brother Fei Ren, why don't we work together to break the barrier?" He Jinwu looked determined. "That's what I was thinking." Fei Ren grinned and nodded. With the strength of his mind power as a Grade 9 alchemist, it would be a little difficult for him to break the invisible barrier on top of the mural by himself. However, with He Jinwu beside him, he would have a much higher chance of success. As a level 4 Mystique venerable realm warrior, even if he was not an alchemist, his mind power would not be too weak. At the very least, he would be much stronger than his siblings. "Let's do it." He Jinwu and Fei Ren looked at each other. Then they released their mental strength and swept it toward the ancient murals on the wall. Swoosh! Swoosh! In an instant, two invisible waves of mind power swept out like a waterfall, instantly enveloping all the ancient murals in the palace. Buzz! The moment their mental energy came into contact with the mural on the wall, the originally indestructible power of the boundary collapsed one after another. Like the melting of spring snow, it flowed out like a torrent, and soon, more than half of it disappeared. What is this? The moment the barrier was destroyed, Fei Ren's heart skipped a beat. In the next moment, countless pieces of unfamiliar information appeared in the depths of his mind. Boom! Pieces of information were pieced together to form a continuous image that exploded in Fei Ren's mind. The scene gradually became clearer and more vivid, as if it had happened yesterday. In the image, the core of the ancient crafting sect was located on top of a mountain, surrounded by auspicious clouds and cranes. It was not as deep underground as it was now, where there was no light. As far as the eye could see, there were elixirs, herbs, and rare herbs all over the mountain. The disciples of the ancient crafting sect were cultivating in peace, forging weapons, and not caring about worldly affairs. The entire scene was peaceful. However, behind this peace, there was always a strange, evil aura above the ancient crafting sect, lingering for a long time without dissipating. It was similar to the evil aura that Fei Ren encountered when he entered the ruins of the main hall. Was this the ancient crafting sect at its peak? Fei Ren's eyes were filled with shock as he stood rooted to the ground. It was as if his mind was wandering, and his consciousness floated back to tens of thousands of years ago to the ancient and powerful ancient crafting sect. It's this evil aura again. Fei Ren also noticed this abnormality and frowned. He suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. At the same time, He Jinwu's mind also went deep into the ancient mural on top of the palace. Buzz, don't tell me this barrier is, unlike Fei Ren who was wandering. He Jinwu's luck was not so good. He did not feel anything strange about the ancient mural on the wall. Instead, he was hit by the power of the barrier. Bang! Puffed. He Jinwu's face changed slightly. The next moment, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His aura was greatly reduced, as if he had been severely injured. His body could not help but stagger backward. Mutual death barrier. Once triggered, it would collapse on its own, burying and destroying everything around it. It was a barrier that would perish together with its user. I didn't expect the barrier covering the ancient mural to be a mutual death barrier. In a panic, He Jinwu forcibly broke away from the mind's contact. His face was pale, and his expression gradually became serious. Not good. If this is really the case, I can't stay here for long. Chapter 684. Father, what's wrong? Seeing He Jinwu spurting blood and retreating with an unnatural expression, He Hanqing, who was standing beside him, also walked over. Even in the family, he rarely saw He Jinwu with such an expression. Obviously, the situation was not good, and a disaster was about to befall. There's no time to explain. Let's get out of here quickly. He Jinwu glanced at He Hanqing and said in a deep voice, "We've already triggered the mutual death barrier sealed in the murals. Once this barrier is triggered, it will bury everything around it, including the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. If I'm not wrong, this barrier was set up by the Mo family, who was in charge of the ancient weapon refining sect. Its purpose was to protect the treasures in the sect's treasury from being taken by outsiders." What? Hearing this, He Hanqing was also stunned for a moment, his expression shocked. So the ancient murals engraved around the palace had such a purpose. Bang! Rumble! Suddenly, the originally indestructible pillars of the palace began to shake. A large number of broken bricks and gravel fell to the ground, creating a deafening rumble. The bluestone slabs under everyone's feet also cracked, as if an earthquake was about to happen. Not good. He Jinwu's expression changed slightly. Run. This place is about to collapse. Once the mutual death barrier's power is exhausted, the entire ancient weapon refining sect ruins will be razed to the ground and completely buried underground. Crack, crack, crack. At this moment, the pillars above the palace were still collapsing, shaking up the dust on the ground. Father, look over there. It seems like there's a treasury. In a hurry to escape, Lily's eyes lit up. Her gaze fell on the corner of the palace. Unknowingly, a narrow passageway, about the height of a person, had been exposed. It seemed to be the sect's treasury that everyone had been searching for. The ancient weapon refining sect treasury is indeed hidden here. Following the other's direction, He Jinwu narrowed his eyes, but there was not much joy on his face. Now that the barrier's power had collapsed, this place would soon be completely buried. Even if they found the location of the sect's treasury, it would be useless. After all, he had the life to take the treasure, but not the life to enjoy it. From the very beginning, the last generation of the weapon refining sect's Mo family had set up a trap. Even if an outsider were to break into the core of the ruins, they would not be able to take away the enormous treasures and opportunities hidden here. This was because the power of the mutual death barrier and the existence of the sect's treasure trove were one entity. If the former didn't disappear, the latter wouldn't be exposed to the world. However, once the power of the barrier completely disappeared, the entire ruins of the ancient crafting school would instantly disintegrate and be buried in endless yellow soil. Treasures and lives could not be obtained at the same time. No one would be willing to sacrifice their lives for these treasures and opportunities. "Father, I found the exit." At this moment, He Hanqing's voice came from afar. His tone was anxious. In a corner of the palace that had not collapsed, there was an abundant spiritual energy fluctuation. On the broken bluestone floor, there was a strange six-pointed star pattern, which seemed to be some kind of teleportation array. Teleportation array. He Jinwu's spirit was greatly shaken, and he flew over. Obviously, after the power of the barrier disappeared, not only was the location of the sect's treasure trove exposed, the only teleportation array that could leave the ruins of the ancient crafting school was also revealed. Now, this was the only way for them to leave this place. They could only take advantage of the time before the teleportation array's power ran out and leave this place. "Lily, what are you doing?" He Hanqing hurried to the entrance of the teleportation array. When he turned his head, he saw that Lily was not far away, still collecting the large amount of treasures scattered on the ground. He hurriedly exclaimed, "Quickly come over. This teleportation array's power won't last for long." "Brother, I'm coming." Hearing this, Lily also put the large amount of treasures in her hands into the spirit ring. Before she left, she reluctantly looked at the sect's treasure trove that was gradually being buried under the rubble. What a pity. Only a little of the things in the treasure trove was taken away. Lily's beautiful face revealed a trace of regret, and her cheeks were slightly flushed. In the instant that the location of the ancient crafting school's treasure trove was exposed, she could not wait to rush in and plunder the treasures. Along the way, she obtained many good things. However, there were still large amounts of treasures and opportunities buried there. Compared to the treasures in her hands, the treasures in her hands were only the tip of the iceberg. Although it was a pity, she no longer had the chance to enter the treasure trove to take the treasures. This was because the palace was about to collapse. If Lily did not leave, she would only be buried with the ruins of the ancient crafting school, buried in the endless depths of the earth. "It's not a pity. Your life is more important." He Hanqing hurriedly interrupted her and somewhat reprimanded her. "Sister, you took too much of a risk just now. You almost lost your life. Do you know that?" It's my fault, Lily somewhat embarrassedly stuck out her tongue. Then, as if she had thought of something, she looked around. "Oh right, where's Fei Run? Didn't he follow? Brother Fei." At this time, He Hanqing finally realized that Fei Run was still immersed in the ancient murals on the wall. His consciousness was in a trance, and he did not have any reaction to what was happening in front of him. "Brother Fei, come here quickly. Leave this place quickly," He Hanqing anxiously shouted, but the other party still did not respond and stood motionless in the same place. "It's too late. Let's go." He Jinwu's face was resolute. He raised his hand and channeled all of his origin energy, activating the teleportation formation under his feet. "No!" Lily let out a scream. In the next moment, the teleportation formation exploded with a burst of light, and the group disappeared together with it. Rumble. Just after He Jinwu and the rest left, the entire palace collapsed completely, and along with the ruins of the ancient crafting school, was buried in endless dust. Buzz. At the same time, Fei Ren's consciousness was still immersed in the dream derived from the ancient murals, and his physical body was enveloped by a pure white ball of energy, as if isolated from the surroundings. Even if the ruins of the ancient crafting school no longer existed, he was still unharmed. Deep in the consciousness boom, kill, kill, kill. The originally peaceful scene of the ancient crafting school changed in an instant. In the next moment, there were shouts of killing that shook the sky, spirit chi collapsed, and evil chi shrouded the surroundings. Everywhere was filled with mountains of corpses and seas of blood, and layers of demonic shadows, as if it was purgatory on earth. This is Fei Ren frowned slightly, and before he could react, there was a shrill and cold roar from the image. Ha ha! M.O. Lin, you will die today without a doubt. A tall demonic shadow appeared out of thin air. The demonic shadow's eyes were blood red, and at this moment, it was like a king looking at the world, staring at the ancient crafting school that had turned into a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Powerful evil chi spread in all directions, and no one dared to look directly at it. Not only you, from today onwards, the so-called crafting school will no longer exist. This is the price for provoking this king. Swish! In the demonic shadow's gaze, a thin figure in a white robe stood quietly. The white-robed man's face was delicate and handsome, and although the raging evil chi around him was incomparably powerful, it could not get close to him. Perhaps so, but I will not let you leave so easily today. In the face of the demonic shadow's threat, the white-robed man smiled indifferently. A mysterious aura enveloped his body, as if all living things in the world had merged into one at this moment. This person is the head of the ancient crafting school, the last M.O. family's great son. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren could not help but tremble. He roughly understood why the ancient crafting school, which had dominated the area, was suddenly destroyed. It was very likely that it was related to the earth-shattering battle that happened thousands of years ago. Moreover, the powerful demonic shadow that was facing off against the M.O. family's great son was shrouded in boundless evil chi, and it was exactly the same as the demonic aura that Fei Ren had discovered when he first entered the ruins of the ancient crafting school. It was obvious that the destruction of the ancient crafting school thousands of years ago was related to this powerful demonic shadow in front of him. Chapter 685. Kill. Another demonic roar came from the sky. In the next moment, dark clouds swept in all directions. Evil chi spread and covered the entire ancient crafting sect. Large amounts of dark clouds also completely engulfed the entire ancient crafting sect. Fei Ren could no longer see any disciples of the ancient weapon refining sect. In the entire world, only the towering demonic figure with a tyrannical aura and the last generation of the M.O. clan, M.O. Lin, remained. The ancient weapon refining sect is dead. Fei Ren clenched his fists, his face full of shock and fear. This was an ancient sect that once gave birth to a great emperor. It was a powerful sect thousands of years ago, but it still couldn't stop the demonic shadow and the endless dark clouds from devouring it. Invincible. Where do these guys come from? Fei Ren's eyes flickered as he looked at the demonic shadow in the sky not far away. This was the first time he couldn't help but show fear in his heart after so many years. The opponent's strength was beyond his imagination. Even a legendary great sage and great emperor couldn't compare. I didn't expect that I, M.O. Lin, would become one of the many martyrs on this continent, seeing his subordinates and disciples of the ancient weapon refining sect turn to ashes. The white-robed man called M.O. Lin looked up to the sky and laughed, a trace of sadness and calmness appearing on his face. So be it, dying with the demons, doing justice for the heavens. Happy, happy. Boom. In the next moment, M.O. Lin's body exploded with the last bit of Yuan Chi aura. A large amount of pure white light, like a holy power, instantly pushed back the corrosive dark clouds around him. With my life as the seal, my body as the sword, slay all demons, and do justice for the heavens. A large amount of Yuan Chi gathered, and the light on M.O. Lin's body became brighter and brighter. Then, it turned into a shocking sword light that pierced through heaven and earth, emitting a biting cold aura. Everything around him was shattered, as if they couldn't withstand the shocking sword light's impact. Ignite the Emperor's heart, using your life as the sword. Bastard, you actually want to perish together with this Emperor. Seeing this, the demonic shadow's expression changed abruptly, and he let out a cry of anger. Demon spirit protection. The tall demonic figure put his palms together. In the next moment, a large amount of black clouds gathered around him, forming an indestructible black cloud barrier, intending to block Mo Lin's final attack. These black clouds were not ordinary creatures. They were soldiers that he had painstakingly nurtured, and they belonged to the same race as him. However, in the face of Mo Lin's desperate attack, the tall demonic figure also threw caution to the wind. He was willing to sacrifice his subordinates to protect his own life. Boom! The shocking sword light ruthlessly slashed at the defensive barrier formed by countless black clouds. The next moment, it exploded with a loud bang. The entire world suddenly changed color, and then everything returned to dust. At this point, the entire screen suddenly turned black. In the next moment, Fei Ren suddenly felt a little dizzy. What happened this time? Before he could regain his senses, the scene before him suddenly changed again. The scene of countless black clouds and demonic shadows wreaking havoc was gone. In its place was the sound of birds chirping and the fragrance of flowers. Fei Ren was in a quiet and elegant small manor. Beside him was a stone pavilion. The floor was made of blue stone, and there was a chessboard neatly placed in the middle of the pavilion. It was as if he was in a paradise. Could it be that I'm dead? Are these all my dreams? Fei Ren's expression was somewhat helpless. However, in the next moment, an old voice faintly came from beside him. Kid, you're not dead. The one who's dead is this old man. Who's this? Fei Ren's heart skipped a beat. He quickly turned around and saw that there was still no one around. There was only the stone pavilion that stood quietly beside him. What the hell? The other party was able to approach him silently. His strength was clearly above his. He was at least a high-level mystique venerable. Kid, stop looking. This old man is here. At this moment, the old voice came from afar again. Fei Ren looked in the direction of the voice. He saw an old figure sitting quietly in the stone pavilion not far away. He could not help but be stunned. Deep shock appeared on his face. The Mo family's great son, Mo Lin. The old figure said faintly without turning his head. That's right. It's this old man. What the hell? What's going on? Didn't this old man die in the great battle 1,000 years ago? He was buried with the entire ancient weapon refining sect. Fei Ren's heart was filled with doubt and shock. However, the old figure that suddenly appeared in the stone pavilion was indeed the Mo family's last great son, Mo Lin. Fei Ren felt that he was not old enough to see wrongly. There was no way he would be mistaken. This was Mo Lin, who had appeared in the ancient mural earlier. Your senior Mo Lin? As he slowly walked into the stone pavilion, Fei Ren's tone was probing. He looked meaningfully at the white-robed old man. It's this old man. The white-robed old man smiled and nodded. Come, come, come. Don't just stand here. Play a game of chess with this old man first. As for the doubts in your heart, this old man will slowly answer them for you later. With that, Mo Lin pointed opposite him. An ancient chessboard was quietly placed in front of the two of them. The black and white pieces were placed on the board, as if they were waiting for a fated person. This chessboard is called Exquisite. It can be used to set up thousands of puzzles and solutions. It's one of this old man's proudest works. As long as you can defeat this old man, not only can I answer all the doubts in your heart, but I can also give you some opportunities. And Mo Lin stroked his long beard again and smiled faintly. I couldn't ask for more. Seeing this, Fei Ren did not bother with pleasantries and immediately sat down cross-legged. The black and white pieces. Whichever one starts first is up to you. Mo Lin stared intently at the exquisite chessboard in front of him. White piece attack. Fei Ren hesitated for a moment, then gently picked up a white piece with his right hand and heavily pressed down on a black piece at the corner of the chessboard, sealing off its last path of retreat, forming a triangular encirclement. Good move. Mo Lin could not help but exclaim. Senior Mo Lin. Junior has a lot of questions in his heart. Fei Ren finally could not help but ask. Oh. Mo Lin smiled faintly. His eyes narrowed into slits, as if he was a kind old man. He did not have the slightest demeanor of an emperor stage expert. What is the background of the people who destroyed the ancient weapon refining sect? What is their goal? I don't have any background, and I don't have any goals. Mo Lin said unhurriedly. Continue. But why did this devil destroy the ancient weapon refining sect at all costs? Sitting cross-legged in front of the exquisite chessboard, Fei Ren gently placed the white piece in his hand. He was still unwilling to give up. In the long history of the Black Star continent, although the ancient weapon refining sect was famous both inside and outside the continent, it was a secluded sect that did not care about worldly affairs. Its disciples were all very low-key and rarely caused trouble. Therefore, Fei Ren was a little puzzled. How did the ancient weapon refining sect provoke that tall devil and lead to the destruction of the sect? Kid, have you heard of the Heavenly Demon Tribe? Mo Lin did not speak directly, but instead kept him in suspense. Heavenly Demon Tribe? Fei Ren was surprised. Other than the human race, there were also hundreds of devil beasts living in the Black Star continent. However, he had never heard of the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Clack! The black piece in his hand heavily pressed down on the exquisite chessboard, and Mo Lin's face gradually turned serious. Yes, it was the Heavenly Demon Tribe that destroyed the ancient weapon refining sect and the entire Mo family. And the tall devil you saw in the mural was a powerhouse of the Heavenly Demon Tribe, called the Rakshasa Demon Emperor. Rakshasa Demon Emperor. Fei Ren's heart skipped a beat. In the entire Black Star continent, there were only a handful of powerhouses who could be called Emperor, and Mo Lin was one of them. Even so, the ancient weapon refining sect could not escape the fate of destruction. This devil is indeed a powerhouse of the Emperor realm. The Heavenly Demon Clan doesn't belong to this continent or the world. Even this old man wasn't very clear about their specific origins back then. Mo Lin placed another chess piece on the ground and said earnestly, "That's why this old man said that they don't have any origins, or rather, they're temporarily unknown. Heavenly Demon Tribe. Could it be that the evil chi I encountered in the ruins of the main hall also came from these heavenly demons?" Fei Ren asked again. Evil chi? Mo Lin was stunned for a moment, then seemed to recall something and nodded. You mean demon power? The power they cultivate is its own source, not origin energy or devil power. It is filled with strange evil chi, which is also a power unique to the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Heavenly Demon Tribe, demon power. Hearing this, Fei Ren fell into deep thought. Although the Black Star continent is vast and boundless in the vast universe, it is only a small, low-level continent. It is insignificant among the many small star regions. According to the rumors this old man heard about the Heavenly Demon Tribe, this demon tribe came from a high-level continent in a large star region in the universe. They were an extremely powerful fighting race, and countless small planets and low-level continents were trampled and destroyed by them. In the face of the invasion of the Heavenly Demon Tribe, if the various forces of the continent did not unite, they would not have been able to resist. Mo Lin sighed again, as if his thoughts had drifted back thousands or even tens of thousands of years ago, during the ancient age of Dharma. At that time, the spirit chi of heaven and earth was not so scarce, and immortal chi had not completely disappeared. In the world, other than the Emperor realm powerhouses, there were also the legendary immortals. So, tens of thousands of years ago, the various forces of the Black Star continent had a great war with the Heavenly Demon Tribe. After the conversation with Mo Lin, Fei Ren's view of the world was completely refreshed. It turned out that in this world, other than the human race and the 100 beast tribes, there was also the mysterious and abnormally powerful ancient race, the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Moreover, the other party did not belong to the Black Star continent, but came from a high-level continent outside the universe. Since the Heavenly Demon Tribe is so powerful and the Black Star continent is still ruled by the human race and the 100 beast tribes, could it be that we won the Great War back then? Suddenly thinking of something, Fei Ren opened his mouth again, and his tone was a little probing. After all, If the heavenly demon tribe had won the war, the billions of living beings on the Black Star continent would have ceased to exist. That war back then concerned the future and fate of the Black Star continent. In order to resist the invasion of the heavenly demon tribe, the human race and the 100 beast tribes stood together, and only then did we barely win the war. This war is also known as the First Continental Holy War. And us old fellows who've been dead for many years are the martyrs, the ones who gave up our lives to win the Continental Holy War. The chess piece in M.O. Lin's hand landed again, after which he spoke in a calm tone, as if he had already seen through all worldly affairs. However, if we really want to talk about it, in the first holy war of the continent back then, our human race and the magical beast hunter clans did not achieve complete victory. Faerun was a little surprised and asked again, "Senior, why do you say that?" Because back then, the heavenly demon tribe was not completely wiped out. We only wiped out a part of their strength, and there are still some heavenly demon remnants that seem to be hiding in the shadows of the continent, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. M.O. Lin said in a heavy tone, "Back then, in order to stop the invasion of the heavenly demon tribe, countless experts and magnates fell, and there was no lack of true immortals among them. In order to completely seal off the heavenly demon tribe's retreat and reinforcements, the human race and 100 beast tribes worked together to seal the celestial dome, causing the Black Star continent's astrological position to disappear from the universe. However, the drawback of sealing the celestial dome was very serious, and that was that it would cause the immortal chi to be cut off, and from then on, no immortals would be born in this world." Hearing this, Faerun was stunned. Then, he was shocked beyond words. No wonder he was always confused when he looked up the information in the ancient books. Since the ancient times, the Black Star continent had not produced a true immortal for tens of thousands of years. If what M.O. Lin said was true, then this should be the truth behind the extinction of immortals. "Senior, are you dead or alive now?" Faerun could not help but ask again. "Kid, why are you still thinking about this question?" M.O. Lin smiled helplessly when he saw how gossipy the other party was. "This old man has been dead for many years, and I perished together with the Rakshasa demon emperor who destroyed the ancient weapon refining sect. What you see now is only a remnant of my soul. As for the original murals, this old man purposely left them behind, just for the fated person who could come here. The Rakshasa demon emperor, the great heavenly demon tribe's emperor realm expert, still could not escape death." Faerun's face was filled with emotion. "Although these guys are strong, they're not invincible." M.O. Lin sneered with disdain. Back then, if this devil did not take advantage of this old man's failure to launch a sneak attack, this old man might have been able to kill a few more demon kings and demon generals before I died. The Rakshasa demon emperor is just so. In the heavenly demon tribe, the hierarchy was strict, and the demon emperor was revered. Below the demon emperor was the demon king, and below the demon king were the demon generals. Each of them was extremely powerful, and their combined strength could crush the human martial artists and the various demon beast experts on the Black Star continent. Even the weakest heavenly demon tribe demon soldier's strength was comparable to a human martial artist's martial king realm expert, and ordinary martial artists would not be able to fight against it. Therefore, this was also one of the reasons why the First Holy War on the continent was so tragic, and the ancient immortals were wiped out, and countless Emperor Realm experts fell. It seems like the heavenly demon tribe left behind many sins on the continent back then. Hearing this, Faerun's face was thoughtful. Chapter 686. The heavenly demon clan has committed too many sins to be recorded. M.O. Lin snorted coldly. He moved the chess piece in his hand forward again and took Faerun's white chess piece. At this moment, the outcome of the game was clear. "Good move," Faerun couldn't help but exclaim. Originally, he was confident that he could take all of the opponent's black chess pieces and win this game. However, Lin's counterattack was truly brilliant. It actually turned the entire game around in an instant. Senior's chess skills are indeed superb. I'm impressed, Fei said. Lin smiled and shook his head. This old man only knows a thing or two. I'm not considered a chess expert. Since you're here today, it means that you're the fated one. This old man will keep his promise and give you some opportunities. With a wave of his hand, the stone pavilion and the exquisite chessboard in front of him slowly disappeared. The next moment, a gray brocade bag appeared in Lin's hand. Although there aren't many treasures in here, they're all the essence passed down from the ancient weapon refining sect. There's also this thing. It's useless to me now, so I'll give it to you as well. Take it as fate. As he spoke, Lin casually tossed out a bronze token. This is... After receiving the token, Fei Ren was stunned for a moment. Then his expression changed slightly. The Mo family leader's token. This thing was a token that only the Mo family's leader, the current generation's tycoon, could wield. Lin in front of him actually gave him the Mo family leader's token. For a moment, Fei Ren couldn't believe his eyes. Could it be that the other party wanted him to become the Mo family's leader and restore the glory of the ancient weapon refining sect? Kid, don't think too much about it. Now that the ancient weapon refining sect has been destroyed, and this old man has been dead for many years, this Mo family leader's token is no longer of any use. It is merely a symbolic antique. As if he had seen through Fei Ren's thoughts, Lin stroked his beard and smiled, explaining in an indifferent manner, if there is any other use for this thing, there is still a trace of this old man's comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth left in it. It might be of help to your martial cultivation. Thank you, Senior. Hearing this, Fei Ren also took a deep breath. Then, he kept the gray brocade bag and the Mo family's leader's token into his spirit ring. Although he didn't manage to find the final treasury of the crafting sect, he did manage to encounter the remnant soul of Lin, the last great master of the House of Mo. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. The value of this gray embroidered pouch and the Mo clan leader's token that contained Lin's comprehension of the laws of the heavens and the earth wasn't the slightest bit inferior to the treasures within the sect's treasure vault. It's almost time, and it's time for this old man to go to the real Yellow Springs, seemingly aware that his spiritual remnant body would not be able to last for long. Lin let out a long laugh and lamented. By the way, little doll, this old man still has a question that I want to know your answer to. Lin suddenly thought of something and glanced at Fei Ren in front of him. Fei Ren cupped his hands and said, Senior, please speak. As the saying goes, if you take advantage of someone, you have to be soft-hearted. Now that he had obtained the greatest opportunity left behind by the ancient weapon refining sect, let alone one question, even if Lin asked 10 questions, Fei Ren wouldn't mind. Everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of the world. Even though it's been nearly 10,000 years since the First Holy War, the current situation of the continent isn't very peaceful. Various forces are constantly fighting, and there's also the heavenly demon tribe that's been lurking in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to make a comeback. Lin's expression was solemn. Little doll, if there really comes a day when the heavenly demon tribe of the past leads an army of demons to kill again, and at the same time, they'll be resurrected after a bloodbath across the entire continent, will you be willing to sacrifice your life and become one of the many martyrs to protect the Black Star continent? No. Good boy. Fei Ren's answer was straightforward. Lin was stunned for a moment, then frowned slightly. Why? Seeing that the other party blurted it out without even thinking, not only was he surprised, but he also felt some regret. It's very simple. Because I'm afraid of death. Fei Ren shrugged and smiled helplessly. What kind of joke was this? The heavenly demon tribe was so powerful that the entire Black Star continent couldn't fight them head-on. They even forced a group of immortals in the ancient times to sacrifice their lives to seal the celestial vault before barely defeating them. How dare he, a mere LV-8 martial king, find trouble with the heavenly demon tribe? What a joke. This was simply sending himself to death. Fei Ren was very clear in his heart about the extent of his strength. Good boy, this old man thought you'd say something about dying for justice and fighting the heavenly demon tribe to the end. Now it seems that you're an honest person, and Mo Lin was a little embarrassed. In the beginning, he had thought that Fei Ren was also a hot-blooded youth who would not tolerate the heavenly demon clan's outrageous acts and their atrocious actions that endangered the continent. However, Fei Ren's attitude had taken him by surprise. The safety of the continent came second, and his life came first. Everything was based on his own interests. This was one of Fei Ren's principles. Senior, I'm not a saint. I'm just an ordinary person who's afraid of death. Fei Ren smiled and said, if Senior is not satisfied with my answer, this brocade pouch and the MO family leader's token will be returned to their rightful owner. With that, Fei Ren took out the gray brocade pouch and the bronze token from his spirit ring. His face was calm, without a trace of reluctance. You little kid, you're quite stubborn. When he witnessed this scene, Mo Lin was slightly angry yet amused at the same time, and he said, don't worry, I'm not such a pedantic person. I just want to hear your true thoughts. As for the choice you make in the future, I won't interfere, nor do I have the ability to. You can keep these things. With that, Mo Lin's figure gradually turned illusory and then slowly disappeared. What an interesting little guy. Before the remnants of his soul completely dissipated, Mo Lin's gaze swept over Fei Ren on the ground one last time. A meaningful look appeared on his aged face, as if he no longer had any attachment to this world. Senior, rest in peace. Fei Ren prayed silently in his heart. After Mo Lin's soul dissipated, Fei Ren took out the Mo family leader's token again. It contained a trace of Mo Lin's understanding of the natural laws of heaven and earth. It was very precious. After all, Mo Lin was a genuine martial emperor when he was alive. The laws that he personally understood could not be compared to ordinary mystique venerables. They weren't even on the same level. He was like a firefly compared to the moon. With this Mo family leader's token, not only can my yin-yang Dao technique improve, but I can also break through the bottleneck and transform it into the true yin-yang law. Holding the bronze token tightly in his right hand, Fei Ren's face revealed a trace of excitement. Chapter 687. As expected of an Emperor Realm expert's comprehension of the natural laws of heaven and earth, Fei Ren took a deep breath as he held the bronze token tightly in his hand. Just now, he had only infused a little of his origin power into it, and he felt a majestic natural energy. Other than Mo Lin's comprehension of the laws, there was also a large amount of residual spirit chi and pure origin power. Fei Ren thought to himself, if he absorbed all the natural energy and comprehension of the laws in the token at once, he might not be able to withstand the impact of such a huge amount of energy. There was a high chance that he would explode and die. Right now, if he wanted to absorb the laws and natural energy, he could only do it step by step. Let's begin. Fei Ren exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, then sat cross-legged on the ground and began to slowly absorb the laws in the bronze token. At the same time, he continued to strengthen his understanding of the yin-yang Dao method. Pop! In the depths of Fei Ren's consciousness, two fishes, one black and one white, were swimming nimbly. The two fishes intertwined with each other from time to time, like an ancient painting of the yin-yang fish, which was constantly shaking and growing. The pair of yin-yang fish diagrams were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. As time passed, Fei Ren's understanding of the Tao of yin and yang continued to deepen as he absorbed the remnant comprehension of the laws within the Mo clan's leader token. If the yin-yang Tao method that he had mastered before was the size of a water bowl, then the yin-yang Tao method that Fei Ren had mastered was the size of a water basin. It was several times larger than before. Another hour had passed, just one more step. A drop of hot sweat rolled down Fei Ren's forehead, and his face was resolute. At this moment, The yin-yang fish in the depths of his consciousness was approaching its limit. He had also touched the source of a trace of the power of the laws. He was only one step away from breaking through the shackles of the yin-yang Tao method and transforming into the yin-yang law. Breakthrough, Fei Run roared and instantly absorbed all the remaining natural energy and laws of the Mo family's leader token. Boom! With a thunderous explosion, Fei Ren's entire body shook. His face suddenly turned ashen, and his lips trembled slightly. It was as if he was rooted to the spot and could not move. Pain. Incomparably intense pain. It was as if an iron hammer was fiercely striking Fei Ren's brain, and it struck directly into the depths of his soul. Even his origin energy was unable to resist it, causing him to be in pain to the point he couldn't help but doubt life. Damn it! Is this the tribulation that one has to endure in order to transform their Taoist skills and transform into the rules? This is too torturous. Fei Ren's face was ashen. His entire body trembled uncontrollably, but he still didn't fall down. It wasn't easy for him to reach this step. Now it was the opportunity for his yin-yang Tao to transform. It was now or never. After a long time, Fei Ren finally awoke from the torment of pain, and his complexion gradually returned to normal. In the depths of his mind, the yin-yang fish diagram grew clearer and larger. One could faintly see strands of an aura domain floating around the fish, and it contained boundless profundity and vitality. The laws of yin and yang, elementary. Fei Ren's face lit up. His efforts paid off, and the yin-yang Tao technique that he had mastered had finally transformed into an even more powerful yin-yang law. Although it was only at the elementary level, and he wasn't very familiar with it, its power couldn't be compared to before. Now, even if he threw a broken bone to Fei Ren, he would be able to instantly grow new flesh and even skin tissue. If it was a dying person, unless there was no corpse left, even if there was only a head left, he would still be able to save him. This was the true definition of a living dead, flesh and bones. There were 3,000 great Daos in the world, and each Dao was different. Among them, other than the more mysterious and unfathomable Dao of life and death, the most miraculous Dao power was yin and yang. Its power and effect far exceeded ordinary Dao power, and sometimes it could even turn something rotten into something magical. It could also be said that Fei Ren was able to comprehend the yin-yang Dao technique while being hunted down by the experts of the Great Song Empire. It could even be considered a fortuitous encounter. Although they were all Dao powers, such as ice, sky, fire, thunder, dark gold, thick earth, and other 5 elemental powers, and even some ordinary Dao powers, were far inferior to the yin-yang law that Fei Ren had mastered. Now that the yin-yang law had broken through to the elementary level, Fei Ren's overall strength had also increased. He was now comparable to a level 3 Mystique Venerable Realm Martial Artist, and could even fight a level 4 Mystique Venerable Realm Martial Artist without fear. Looks like I won't be able to leave this place anytime soon. Looking around, Fei Ren realized that he was still trapped in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. When Mo Lin left earlier, he didn't mention anything about leaving this place. Fine. There will be a way out when the time comes. Seeing this, Fei Ren focused again and started to cultivate with the records of the Overlord of Western Shu. At the same time, he took out the auxiliary spiritual treasure, the jade annulus of the clan, which Zhanwu had given him, and the gray brocade pouch that Mo Lin had left behind. Since he couldn't get out for the time being, he could only continue to stay in this deserted place and cultivate. Coincidentally, Fei Ren's origin power cultivation was still stuck at level 8 Martial King realm, and his mind power had not broken through for a long time. He wanted to use this opportunity to break through and raise his strength to another level. Just as Fei Ren was cultivating alone in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, the situation in the Emperor's pit outside was changing rapidly. Countless forces heard the news and rushed to the hinterland of the Emperor's pit. Tianfeng City, He family's meeting hall. Father, Why did you leave Fei Ren alone in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect? Lily looked at the middle-aged man in front of her with grief and indignation. Her voice was filled with disappointment and indignation. Lily, father did it for your own good. If we had left any later, we would have been buried together. Hijimu glanced at Lily and sighed. I don't care. You're an ungrateful villain. Lily's voice was hoarse as tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. She seemed to still be immersed in the grief of Fei Ren being buried in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect. On the other hand, He Hanqing's face was filled with helplessness as he softly advised, Sister, how can you speak to father like that? Previously in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, Fei Ren had saved them. However, at the most critical moment, they had abandoned him. They were not kind enough. I don't want to see you anymore. With a cold snort, Lily wiped away the tears in the corner of her eyes, then turned and ran out of the meeting hall. At the same time, in the ruins of the ancient weapon refining sect, boom! Suddenly, a beam of origin power light shot into the sky. A biting cold aura spread out in all directions, emitting a shocking fluctuation. Accompanying, it was an extremely powerful mind power fluctuation. Level 10 Martial King Realm. What a pity! I couldn't break through to the mystique, venerable realm. Fei Ren slowly got up. His face was filled with excitement, but there was a hint of regret and dissatisfaction. After this period of closed-door cultivation, coupled with the large amount of treasures and cultivation resources in the gray brocade pouch left behind by Mo Lin, his origin power cultivation had broken through again and stepped into level 10 Martial King Realm. He was only one step away from the mystique, venerable realm. Not only that, but Fei Ren's mind power, which had been stagnant for a long time, had broken through again and stepped into the lower Earth Gate. He had also successfully advanced from a grade 9 alchemist to a genuine Earth grade alchemist. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.